Hello everybody and welcome to the penultimate round of the 2022 GP4 World ChampCar Offline Championship. We are here at the popular Fuji Speedway in Oyama, Japan for the penultimate race of the season where both championships could be decided, of course. Of course, it won't be decided in qualifying, of course. It could be decided in the race, of course. I am JW97 and I'm joined for the qualifying session, at least, by the host himself, Yuri.
The game crashed.
As the game decided to have a crash on us, just as I introduced Yuri there, typical. But how are you doing anyway, Yuri?
I was doing fine until this happened. Now I'm doing really bad.
Now, I will explain as well. For the race, we should expect that Kurisu should be making an appearance as well for the race, of course. She won't be here for the qualifying, but she will, should in theory be here for the race. But that's that really. So you'll have a different co-commentator for when we get to the race, obviously. But the game has obviously just crashed, so we're just trying to sort that one out before we can get underway for qualifying. So yeah, that's that really. And well, coming into this race, of course, there is a chance that both championships could get decided, as Julius Anderson has his first opportunity to wrap up the World Champ Car title, and Team Penske have a chance to retain their team's title from this week as well. Obviously, you won't get the criteria yet because things could obviously change in qualifying, of course, as obviously you do get a bonus point if you get pole position in this series. So we'll just have to wait and see how the rest of qualifying goes, really. And before we can then show you the criteria, and then of course I'll send over the champion graphics to Yuri as well. Of course, the team's championship will obviously keep updated as the race goes on, of course. But this was obviously the track last season where a certain Bruno de Barros kept the championship open going into Suzuka last season because he ended up having a bit of a pit lane incident with a back marker. And well, if Julius Anderson is in a position to win the championship this week, he'll be hoping that that doesn't happen to him.
Yeah, I was just concentrating on actually making the game open, and now we are actually getting underway.
Yep, we are indeed. After a little bit of technical problems, we are finally now underway for the qualifying session. And Ennis Perachki is going to be the first car onto the track for Arrow McLaren SP. Of course, retired last time out at Yeognam, and he'll be determined to try and put that behind him here at Fuji Speedway, as Perachki will now make his way out onto the racetrack, as he'll be the first to start in this one-shot qualifying session, of course, as Perachki making his way through into turns 1 and 2 corner now then, as Perachki now then will make his way towards the quick left and long right-hander we will go. And, well, that's that really. Perachki making his way for the long super right-hander as he'll be preparing to start his lap. Because, yes, of course, as mentioned, the championship could get decided this week, because coming into this race, Julius Anderson has a 32-point lead in front of Gabriel Gomez in the championship. And, well, he can afford to lose in total 5 points in the championship, providing, of course, that Gomez doesn't take pole, of course. Then it would have to be 4 points that he can afford to lose to him, because he does have the advantage when it comes to count back of victories. Julius, of course, has had 4 victories this season, whereas Gabriel Gomez has only had 1 victory to his name in 2022. And, well, it's safe to say that it's really mainly been Gomez's consistency that has kept him in the championship hunt. But given that the last race didn't really pan out the way that Gomez was hoping because of certain stuff that happened with back markers in that race, which handed the victory to Julius Anderson at Yeognam, Gomez will be determined to try and keep the championship hopes alive and keep the title fight going to the finale next week at Suzuka, which I had obviously a conversation with you before the stream started, and of course there was some speculation as to whether the last race would be pre-recorded or not, but after finding out when Yuri actually goes away, it should in theory still be live next week. So that's what the plan is at the moment. It should still be live next Monday for the finale, regardless of whether there's a title fight or not. So, yeah, that's that really. Drebush Daniel will be next to go out on the track. It's a 17.962 for Perachki in that first sector. I thought he had a little bit of a twitch there coming around that long right-hander now then, as Perachki now making his way down towards the double right-hander on the racetrack. Now, luckily, unlike with Formula E, of course, the World Champ Car drivers actually take this bus-stop chicane a lot more cleanly than what Formula E did when they raced here back in 2021, because when Formula E raced here in 2021, that bus-stop chicane was a little bit of a nightmare for the Formula E drivers, but thankfully when World Champ Car came here first time last season, it wasn't too much of a problem for them, as Perachki now then making his way through into the left-hander now on the racetrack, as Perachki will now come up towards the final couple of corners on the racetrack. He will now go. The Arrow McLaren SP driver making his way onto the pit straight now then, and the North Macedonian driver will set the benchmarker time for everybody to beat now then, as Parachki now then comes across the line in the McLaren, and the benchmarker time is going to be, it's a very long run to this finish line, and it's a 1 minute 17.985 for Parachki there, so that's what everybody's got to beat. Next up is Daniel in the Scuderia Ferrari, and well, he'll also be hoping that he can put the disappointment of Yohognam behind him as well. As Yuri's just had to go and do something for 30 seconds, but luckily we are viewing a car during that time, so he should be back before the next car comes out onto the track, which we'll find out who that is in a little bit once Daniel starts his lap, as he's now just coming onto the pit straight now then, and the Scuderia Ferrari driver is about to start his flying lap here at Fuji, and the next car on track will be Yuri Gabriel in the Maya Shank racing car, as Daniel making his way down towards the first corner, down through this hairpin, and quite a long run down towards that first corner. It can narrow up, of course, it can bottle up heading into that part, so there is chance that there could be collisions at the start of the race, but we'll have to wait and see. Daniel approached the first sector, and he's 63 thousandths off of Parachki in that first sector, as he now comes towards the left-hander now then on the racetrack, as he flicks the car in through that left-hander now then on the track before heading down towards the double right-hander on the racetrack, as Yuri is now back. He's just informed me of that. Heading down towards the bus-stop chicane now then on the racetrack. It could be a good overtaking opportunity if you're brave enough, but at times we've often seen drivers backing out into that part of the track as well, so maybe that will probably be the case this season as well, as Daniel's actually found some time in the middle sector. He was down on Parachki, but now he's purple in that middle sector, 32 thousandths up on Parachki in the middle sector, but it's not by too much. We have seen over the past few races, of course, that McLaren have had some very, very strong qualifying pace, but it seems that in the race they just kind of fade away a little bit, despite the fact that they have had a podium this season in the form of Marat Patacek back at Monza, of course, which was, of course, just a couple of rounds ago, in fact. So Daniel now then, will he be able to go to the top of the timing sheets, or will Parachki be able to beat him? Daniel now then comes across the line in the Ferrari, and he goes into second place, loses time in the last sector, and he's 61 thousandths off, but pretty close there between those two.
Yeah, definitely. It was interesting to see that Daniel was better on the middle of the track, but slightly off on first and third sector. As next up is Gabriel, who I don't think is not going to challenge these times.
Yep, I mean, he is in a Meyershank, of course, so in theory he shouldn't be able to, because Meyershank this season have mainly been competing with the likes of Manor and Viper this season, of course, and, well, I say that, of course, but Meyer have pretty much got themselves quite a decent gap in front now of both the Viper and Manor teams, of course. I think Viper is now the only team left now to score a point as a result of Gillam's stop, scoring his and Manor's first points of the season, of course, which means that Viper is the only team left that need to score a point. Frederick Soper will be next up on track in the Carlin, as Gabriel, as expected, was down on Parachki in that first sector there. And we're not really sure what the weather conditions are going to be like high in, of course. It is random, of course. It's random weather in GP4. We don't dictate what the weather is going to be like, so we'll have to wait and see when we get there in the race, of course. But anyway, Yuri Gabriel now, though. Oh, we shall see. As now Gabriel approaches the end of the middle sector, 6 tenths down, to be expected, really. But we'll have to wait and see what the gap is like, really, between himself and the BMW McLaren of Parachki. As now, through the left-hander goes the Brazilian driver now. Then, of course, their big points holder they got at Monza gave them that gap that they needed in front of Viper and Manor. And I think, in theory, they should, finish ahead of them in the championship. But I would expect, judging from what we saw in the 2023 sign-up video for World ChampCar, it might be a little bit tougher for them, because they are going to be a rookie team next season. Will Meyershank, I think it's Viper that's the one that's getting the promotion. Manor's still going to be that rookie team next season, as Gabriel is expected goes into third, 1.2 seconds off of Parachki. But yeah, I am expecting maybe a tricky season for Meyershank next season here for World ChampCar. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. Next up is Frederick Soper in the Carlin, as now he will make his way in towards the left and then into the last couple of corners. We will go now then, as Soper now then comes towards the final corner and onto the pit straight now then we will go, as Soper will start his lap. Of course, the last couple of races for the Polish driver has been very, very difficult for him, it's fair to say. It's been filled with a lot of frustrations for Soper, and he's determined to try and get a good result here at Fuji Speedway, as now Soper starts his lap, as now coming down towards the first corner now then we go, as next up on track will be Francesco La Rosa in the Ferrari, and He now makes his way towards turn number 3 now goes Frederick Soper, as he now approaches the end of the first sector, and he finds himself 2 tenths down in that first sector. Now, I wasn't able to see what Gabriel's first sector looked like compared to Perachki. It was 6 tenths down. Okay, fair enough. I was just wondering. Yeah, so Soper is obviously going quicker than Gabriel. I mean, you'd expect him to be quicker because he is in a Carlin, but if he wasn't, then that would be quite a bit concerning. And as mentioned, Soper has had quite a few tricky races over the past couple of meetings, it must be said.
He's had a difficult season, to be honest. He hasn't been performing at his best.
Yes, indeed, and well, it's definitely been something that's been pointed out on his Twitter, of course, because he normally reacts to his races, of course, and it has been a sign of frustrations for the Polish drivers. He found himself 4 tenths down on Perachki in the middle sector as he just comes out of the final corner now, then, and onto the pit straight. He will go, and let's see where Soper ends up on this occasion. As he comes down to the pit straight, he should in theory get himself into 3rd place, but we shall see. Soper across the line, he will go now then into Carlin, and he goes as expected into 3rd, 8 tenths off of Perachki. In the end, that'll be something to keep an eye on when his teammate Lorenzo Tomaselli comes out a little bit later on. But next up is Francesco La Rosa in the Ferrari. Now his teammate Dalibos Daniel was 61 thousandths off of Perachki on his lap, so we'll have to wait and see if La Rosa can better Perachki or not. And he's another driver who wants to forget what happened at Yehognam as quick as possible, as he will now come onto the straight. It was a weekend to forget, really, for Ferrari as a whole. But anyways, La Rosa now then comes onto the pit straight, as he will now start his lap now, then coming down this very, very long straight, where we'll probably see most of the overtakes being done today, as he starts his lap. Next up on track will be Adam Wolf in the Pyramid, another driver who obviously took pole at Yehognam last time out, but obviously got crashed out in the end at turn 2, and well, he went pretty much from 0 to 0 in that race. So yeah, he'll be wanting to bounce back here at Fuji Speedway. La Rosa, 44 thousandths off of Perachki in the first sector. Now I think Daniel was around about 600ths off in the first sector compared to Perachki. So we'll wait and see if La Rosa is able to go purple like Daniel did in that middle sector. We shall wait and see as he now makes his way towards the double right-hander through the first part, then down to the second part. He'll go as he now makes his way towards the stop chicane. Now then he goes over through the right and into the left-hander, and of course, and see what La Rosa in the middle sector will tail now then, and that's expected to hit purple in that middle sector. So we've got
Ferraris. I think Ferraris put more ring on the car in this session, I think.
Yeah, I think they might have their car maybe set up perfectly better to the McLarens in the middle sector, but they might just seem to lose it when they get onto the straights. We'll see if that's the case with La Rosa as he comes onto the straight now then, as the Italian driver makes his way down the pit straight, and he'll soon come across the line now then in the Ferrari onto the straight, and Francesco La Rosa is now going to cross the line, and he actually goes quickest. In fact, he did lose time though in the last sector, but in the end he does go to the top by only 200ths of a second. So unlike Daniel, La Rosa was able to go purple in the end.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good lap for La Rosa. Of course, now I think Adam Wolf is going to be the first proper top car to set up lap here. So let's see how this compares.
Yep, indeed, as Wolf now then making his way onto the pit straight now then, as he will now start his lap very, very soon now then. Adam Wolf crosses the line, which he starts now. Next up on track will be Rosetta Martinez in the second Meyer-Shank racing car, but we'll see what the Pyramid of Wolf is able to do. Of course, took pole position last time out at Yehognam, but as mentioned, went from 0 to 0 in that race after getting taken out at turn 2. In fact, he was kind of going backwards anyway during the race before he got took out of the race in the end. Wolf approached the first sector, and as expected, 1/10 up on La Rosa in that first sector, and he's also up on Perachki as well, because he was obviously quicker than La Rosa in sector 1, but only by 400ths of a second that time by, as he now, Wolf comes around the double right-hander. Let's see what his middle sector is going to entail compared to the Ferrari drivers. He now makes his way into the bus stop through the right, then into the left he will go now then, as he will now approach the end of the second sector very, very soon. Let's see what sector 2 entails. 2/10 up on La Rosa in the middle sector. As I was about to say that, I was just about to say, as long as he doesn't make a mistake, but he's just made it. We made the mistake through into that right-hander there, so that might cost him a bit of time compared to La Rosa. So clearly pushing hard there is Adam Wolf as he now makes his way out of the final turn and onto the pit straight now. Then he will go. Let's see what Adam Wolf can do this time by in the pyramid. Down the pit straight he goes as he will now go flat out, pedal to the metal, down the pit straight, and Wolf across the line. Is he going to lose out to La Rosa as a result? Across the line, and no he doesn't. He's still 2 tenths up, but I think without that mistake, he could have been a little bit more clearer than La Rosa there.
Yeah, lucky for him, the mistake he made wasn't a huge one. Just a little slide in a relatively fast corner, and he probably lost like few hundreds on that.
Yeah, indeed, and I think we had the robotic voices for a little bit there, so apologies for that. Again, it's a little sound issue that we've had ever since Yuri's had his change of computer. It's an issue that we haven't been able to fix yet, I'm afraid.
As I repeat again and again, if it happens, do not mention it. There's nothing I can do. It even happens when I stream on Discord chat, on Discord voice channel. So there's literally nothing that can be done about it. It lasts for 3 seconds, so just deal with it.
I noticed in the last race of Mexico it lasted a little bit longer, judging from because I had to include it in the highlights when somebody was pitting. But yeah, I left a little caption that said apologies for the crackly voice. But anyway, back to the action. Luke Mason will be next up on track after Martinez, as Martinez goes 2 tenths slower than Wolf in the first sector.
That's a pretty good first sector.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because Gabriel was actually 6 tenths off of Parachki in that first sector. So he's going a lot quicker than what Gabriel did on his lap. So we'll see what Martinez is able to do in the other Meyer Shank Racing car as he now makes his way towards the bus stop chicane now. Then as he flicks it in through the right, left and right-hander now then. On the racetrack, let's see what the middle sector looks like. 7 tenths down in that middle sector. So I think he's actually lost quite a bit of time that time by because... yeah, I think he's a little bit off, but I think he's still quicker than Gabriel, because I think Gabriel was actually around, what was it, like...
I think he's going to fight with Chopa for position on this lap.
We shall see now. Then there's Martinez with the Honda engine in the back of the Meyer Shank, comes onto the pit straight now. Then there's Rosetta Martinez now, then comes across the line in the Meyer Shank, as he will now come across the line. What's the lap time going to be? Across the line, he will go, and he is in 5th position. He gets himself just in front of Frederick Soper. So once again, more frustration for Frederick Soper now that he finds himself so far in a Meyer Shank sandwich.
Yeah, his lap didn't seem that good, to be honest. I think the Carlin as a car isn't the best either, but yeah, you would want to be ahead of the 3 bottom teams, to be honest.
Yep, indeed, as Mason is about to start his lap now then very, very soon. As he's going to be crossing the line quite soon now then. As just double checking something. Nothing to report. So anyway, as next up on track will be Dorian Malevsky in the Manor car now then. Mason is the first of the 2 Viper cars to make his way out on track. As he now makes his way towards the left and right hander, we will go. Let's see what his first sector looks like compared to Wolf, and he's 3 tenths off in that first sector, so a pretty decent first sector for him, although he's a little bit off of Martinez, but he's definitely up on Gabriel in that first sector, is Luke Mason, as he now flicks the car in through that left-hander now then, as he will now make his way down towards double right-hander on the racetrack now. Then down the hill he goes before approaching the bus stop chicane now. Then he approaches that corner at around, he just clocked there 304 kilometers an hour with the Mercedes engine in the back. So Mason comes out of that bus stop chicane. Let's see what his middle sector looks like, and he's 9 tenths off, so he's still down on Martinez. Not sure if he's quicker than Gabriel though. I'm not 100% sure on that one. We'll have to see, of course, but I think he might be fighting with him. We'll have to wait and see. I think he will be behind Soper though, that's for sure, as now Mason comes around the final corner and onto the pit straight now. Then will go the Viper driver. Of course, this team will no longer be a rookie team next season. It's having a little bit of a promotion in World ChampCar. So Mason now then making his way onto the pit straight, and Mason now then will come across the line. And where's he going to go? And he goes into 7th place. He just gets himself in front of Gabriel there by 0.02 of a second there. So pretty close in the end between Mason and Gabriel.
Yeah, good effort for him.
As we now look at the first of the Manor cars now then, and there's a Viper there, the Manor cars now then, the Dorian Milewski, as he just comes down the straight. Of course, his teammate Gillum Stott will be out in a little bit. Of course, he scored points for Manor last time out at Yehognam, and will be looking to continue that momentum here at Fuji Speedway. Next up on track will be Alex-Eric Lucien in the Peugeot then, the first of the two Peugeots, of course. Mutka was the only one, I think, that got points last time out for Peugeot at Yehognam, so a decent amount of points there for the French manufacturer, as now Milewski now then flicks it through that left-hander in towards the first sector he goes, and he's 4 tenths off, so he's also down on both Martinez and Mason, in fact, and I think he could actually find himself behind Gabriel, judging from the gap between Mason and Gabriel at this point in time. But we'll keep an eye and see what Milewski can do for the remainder of the lap as the Polish driver comes through the double right-hander now then on the racetrack, heading down towards the bust-up chicane. He will go, flicks it in through the right, and then into the left and right he will go now then. And to be honest with you, I know that chicanes are often seen as often found upon, as Milewski finds himself a second off of Wolf in the middle sector. But I do think the bust-up chicane that we have here in Fuji Speedway actually doesn't break the flow of the track too much, in my honest opinion. I think it does actually serve a pretty good purpose, and it actually does have a little bit of a character to it as well, because you could very easily, because you're approaching it at quite low speeds coming out of the first part of it, you can easily wheel spin right at the middle of it, and yeah, you can definitely need quite a lot of time in that chicane, really. So for me, I don't think it breaks the flow of the track, that part does, really, because obviously you've got this long straight, which is where most of the overtaking done, as Milewski does, as expected, go behind Gabriel and goes into ninth place. In fact, he finds himself just under 2 tenths behind him in the end there. So yeah, Milewski now the slowest at the moment. If we now look at Alex-Eric Lucien in the first of the two Peugeots now then, as the French driver comes towards the final couple of corners on the racetrack now then, we will go. And I've only just realised, but hello, Trey has just joined us in the stream chat there. I've only just noticed he's just joined the stream, in fact, as now Lucien just comes down the straight now then, as he will start his flying lap now then in the Peugeot, just blasting down this pit straight, and he will now start his flying lap now then here at the popular Fuji circuit, as next up on track will be Yuri Kratichville in the second of the two Vipers, only just missing out on points last time out in Yehognam, missing out in the end to Gillum Stop in the Manor, of course, and as mentioned earlier on, Viper now the only team left on the grid that is yet to score a point this season in World ChampCar, as now Lucien will now make his way towards the end of the first sector, and he's 3 tenths off of Wolf, and that's pretty interesting, in fact, because given that Martinez was 2 tenths off of Wolf in that first sector, that's not exactly the best of first sectors there for the Peugeot driver, but we'll wait and see if that Peugeot is hooked up pretty well in that middle sector. You'd think in theory it would, because this is the more technical part of the racetrack, really, and you'd think that it would have more of an advantage than what the Meyershank has, but we'll wait and see. The Frenchman heads down through the bust-up chicane he goes now then, as he'll now approach the end of the second sector very soon. Let's see what it's like this time by, and he's 7 tenths off, and that's roughly the same as what Martinez did in that middle sector. So yeah, it's not looking to be a good lap here for the Frenchman, and I'm a little bit worried he might actually slot not just behind Martinez, but maybe also behind Soper as well, because he's only a few hundredths behind the Meyershank. So we'll see what Lucien is able to do on this occasion as he blasts down the pit straight now then. Alex-Eric Lucien down the pit straight, and he'll soon come across the line now then. Lucien, let's see where he can go now then. The Frenchman comes across the line now then in the Peugeot. Where is he going to go? And he goes into 7th, and he does go behind Soper and Martinez. He's actually 6,000 behind Soper in the end. But yeah, not a very good lap from the Frenchman.
No, that was a terrible lap for him. He just couldn't get the lap together there.
Indeed, and hello Rowan and Rosetta, who's just joined us in the stream chat, as we now look at Yuri Kratichville in the second Viper car now then. His teammate Mason has already done a lap. He's currently in 8th place, 4 tenths off of Alex-Eric Lucien, who's obviously just finished a lap, as Kratichville now then goes down the straight, blasts down the pit straight with the Mercedes engine in the back of the Viper, as he will now start his lap. Next up on track will be Lorenzo Tomaselli, in fact, in the Carlin there, and I actually genuinely thought that, in fact, yeah, I'm being stupid there. I had a little bit of a brain fart there. I kind of forgot that we're only just at the halfway stage. I thought it was Stop that was going to be next, but I clearly miscalculated on that one there. But Kratichville 4 tenths off in that first sector, so he is down on Mason and Martinez. I'm not sure if he's down on Milewski or not. We'll have to double check on that, because he ended up having not the best of laps, because he's just under 2 tenths behind Gabriel now. Then as Kratichville approaches the bus stop chicane, the Czech driver flicks it in for the right, then into the left, and then into the right. He will go. Let's see what his middle sector will curtail now. Then 1.1 seconds off. So, yeah, I think he could be round about where Malevsky is. This is not looking to be a very good lap here for Yuri Kratichville.
I think this is the slowest so far, if I'm correct.
I think it has been, yes, because I think Malevsky was actually a second off in the middle sector, not 1.1 seconds off. So I think he could actually be behind Malevsky at the moment now. Then, so the Czech driver making his way onto the pit straight now. Then, and Yuri Kratichville is going to cross the line in the Viper now. Then he crosses the line now then, and he goes into 11th place. So yeah, only just slower than Malevsky, but still the slowest car at the moment as we've now got to the halfway stages. Now next up on track will be Lorenzo Tomaselli. Now, given that Soper is behind Martinez in this session, I wonder what Tomaselli's pace is going to be like compared to the ChampCar. That's something I'm very curious about. I mean, it has to be said, of course, over the last few races, Tomaselli has definitely had Soper's number. I think throughout the season, it must be said. And, well, if that's anything to go by, you would think that he would do a good job with this car, but we'll have to wait and see. As next up will be Gillum Stop in the Manor car, so he'll be next up on the racetrack as Tomaselli blasts down towards the first corner now then. On the racetrack, Tomaselli through into turn 2 he goes, as now he'll approach the very quick turn 3. You can lift off the acceleration through into there, and then the long right-hander. 3 temps down, though, in that middle sector. That's slower than Martinez as well, so yeah, he's looking at quite a similar time here to what Soper did. And, well, that's not quite good.
Feels like the Carlin has just not got the setup correct today.
Yeah, indeed, as now Tomaselli making his way into the bus stop chicane, flicks it through the right, left, and then into the right. Let's see what his middle sector will look like now then. And he's 8 temps off, and yeah, that is slower than Martinez, because Martinez was 7 temps off of Wolf in that middle sector. So
now that I'm thinking, it's starting to feel like that Martinez actually had a really strong lap, considering the machine he's having.
Yeah, indeed. So he could end up with quite a decent grid position as a result. But now Tomaselli making his way onto the pit straight now then, as the Italian driver will now come across the line now then. Let's see where he's going to place his car in. Is he going to get in front of Soper, or is he going to slot behind him? Let's see. Tomaselli across the line he goes, and he actually goes behind Lucien. So Lucien finding himself in a Carlin sandwich, but still slower than Martinez, which is very, very interesting indeed. As next up will be Gillum Stop in the Manor. His teammate Malevsky down in 11th, and safe to say that Stop is on cloud 9 at the moment after he finally scored his first ever points in the OC a couple of weeks ago in Yeohgnam, and he'll want to continue that momentum into this race here at Fuji Speedway. Whether or not he can get any more points before the end of the season, I'm not really sure, really. I think he'll need probably some more luck like in Yeohgnam to try and get some points once again, because of course the Manor is not a regular point scorer normally, same with the Viper and the Meyershank. As Stop starts his lap, next up will be Simon Mutka in the second Peugeot. As Stop now then heads down towards the first corner now, then he goes. The Frenchman coming around turn 2 on the racetrack, his own now approach. Turns 3 and 4 now, then flicks it in through the left-hander. Let's see what his middle sector will look like now then. And he's 4 temps off in the middle sector at that point in time. And I'm trying to remember what Malevsky was. I think Malevsky was also 4 temps off in that middle sector. So it just seems like the two Vipers may be on similar sort of pace at this stage, but we will see if that's still the case when Stop comes around sector 2 and of course comes across the line to complete his lap, of course. Heading down towards this bus stop chicane now, then he goes, flicks it in through the right-hander, so through the right, then into the left, and then into the right now then will go the Frenchman, and his middle sector 1.4 seconds off. In fact, he's lost a heck of a lot of time in that middle sector. I didn't detect a mistake there, but yeah, that's a very poor middle sector.
I was about to say, I think on the fast, is it fast left or right hand? Like the fast long corner.
Right-hander.
Yeah, I did see that he might have had a twitch there.
Yeah, indeed. So that might have cost him time there as a result. Stop now, then across the line he goes, and well, 2.2 seconds off. If he did make a mistake, it did cost him a lot, as he's well, just under 6 temps behind Kratichville.
Yeah, that is definitely a lap to forget.
It is indeed, and well, probably basically it's back to reality for Stopp after the point he scored a couple of weeks ago at Yehognam. Next up is Simon Mutka in the second Peugeot now. Then, of course, his teammate Lucien didn't have the best of laps himself over a second half of Wolf, so we'll see what Mutka has in store in the Peugeot as he now comes down the straight, and the Polish driver will now start his lap. Heading onto the straight, Mutka across the line, and he starts his next flying lap now then, as next up on track will be Luca Farina in the Chip Ganassi racing car. Of course, Chip Ganassi scored double points last time, right? Because, of course, going into Yehognam a couple of weeks ago, they found themselves behind Meyershank on a countback of results. But thankfully, thanks to them scoring double points, they were able to get themselves back in front of Meyershank. But, yeah, not exactly the season that... not exactly the season that Chip Ganassi expected with their first season with Mercedes. Mutka finds himself 3 tenths off of Wolf in that first sector, and again finding himself down on Martinez in the first sector, who was obviously 2 tenths off of Wolf in the first sector. So we'll see what his middle sector is going to look like as he makes his way down in towards the bus stop chicane, flicks it through the right, then into the left, and then into the right now then. He will go. Let's see what his middle sector looks like. 7 tenths off. So it's roughly around about the same sort of pace as what Martinez has. But whether he can get in front of him or not, we'll have to wait and see. The Polish driver flicks it through the penultimate couple of corners now then, as he'll now make his way into the final corner and onto the pit straight now. Then will go Simon Mutka in the Peugeot as he blasts down the pit straight now. Then Mutka heading his way onto the pit straight as he'll soon come across the line now then, down the pit straight, and Simon Mutka across the line. He will go. What is the lap time going to be for the Polish driver? Where's he going to go? And he goes into 8th position. So he also goes
1,000 of a second.
I think it's actually 41 thousandths of a second, in fact, because it's 59 and 100 there. So either way, though, that's a little bit bizarre because he was up on Lucien in the middle sector.
The hundreds were different than the seconds. I ignore that.
But either way, though, Mutka was up on Lucien, but he just seems like he lost it all in that last sector.
Yeah, I don't think what went wrong there, but yeah.
Anyway, Farina is next up. Next up will be his teammate Jared Fosbury. So the Chip Ganassis are getting their laps now out of the way as Farina flicks it through the left-hander. Let's see what his middle sector looks like. And he's 1 tenth off of Wolf, so a pretty decent first sector there for Luca Farina in the Chip Ganassi racing car. And we'll see where that takes him now then, as he now flicks the car in through the left-hander, heading down towards the double flat-out right-handers. We will go through the first part, then down into the second part we go. A little bit of a bump in the middle there as now Farina approaches the bus stop chicane now, then flicks it in through the right and then into the left-hander. He will go. Let's see what Sector 2 looks like then for the Italian, and he's 4 tenths down in that middle sector, so I think he's going to be in around about 5th place. He will get in front of Martinez, but he is going to be behind Wolf, La Rosa, Parachki, and of course Daniel. So Farina now then in towards the final corner now then he will go as he flicks it in through the final turn onto the pit straight now then will go the Italian as he now blasts down the pit straight. Luca Farina across the line now then he will go as Luca Farina now then is going down the pit straight, and Farina across the line he will go now then, and Farina is going to go as expected into 5th position. He is 5 tenths off a Wolf in the end. Easily quicker than Martinez, so let's see what his teammate Jared Fosbury is going to be able to do as he now approaches the final turn himself, as he will now start his flying lap now then here at Fuji as he now blasts down the pit straight. I think Fosbury has actually raced here before when he was in GP2, but I could be wrong on that one, so I think he has got a little bit of experience around this circuit, as now Fosbury now then heads down the pit straight now then as the Brit starts his lap. Next up on the track will be Marat Patacek in the second McLaren, and it'll be interesting to see what his pace is like compared to Parachki, as now Fosbury goes around turn 2 now then, heading his way through turns 3 and 4. He will go nearly flat through this left-hander. The middle sector now, that's the first sector, sorry, 2 tenths off in the first sector. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's slightly down on Farina in sector 1, because I think he was 1 tenth behind Wolf in that first sector. So Fosbury not able to match his teammate into sector 1 there, as he will now come towards the double right-hander now then, heading down the hill towards the bus stop chicane now then. He will go. Let's see what his middle sector looks like. Flicks it in through the first hairpin, through the second hairpin, and then into this right-hander we will go. And now in towards the middle sector, 7/10 off in that middle sector. So in actual fact, he's roughly where Martinez is at the moment. So he is actually off on Farina in his middle sector. So we'll see what Fosbury is able to do when we get into the last sector of the racetrack now then. Up towards the final corner, we'll go Jared Fosbury in the Chip Ganassi racing car. Down the pit straight now then, we will go as Jared Fosbury onto the pit straight, and across the line now then, we'll go the black and gold Chip Ganassi. Fosbury across the line now then, he will go. Where is he going to place himself? Is he going to get in front of Martinez? Answer that is no, he's way off. He's down in 10th position, 1.1 seconds off, and well, 6/10 off his teammate in the end. So in the end, not a good lap for Fosbury.
Yeah, Farina did have a good lap though, so I think Farina might... Is it already confirmed that Farina's ending up in the top 10?
Well, we've got 6 cars left, so not yet. So he could still drop down to 11th, but there is quite a good chance that Farina could get into the top 10, depending on what the rest do, of course.
I think that's a good result for the team he's driving for.
Yep, indeed. Patacek starts his lap. Next up will be Gabriel Gomez. Will be looking to try and save his championship chances and take the championship down to the final race next week at Suzuka. Julius, who's just joined us, you'll see the criteria before the race starts, of course. I didn't put the criteria up just yet because, of course, you can get a bonus point for pole position. So that's why I didn't put it. Patacek, 98 thousandths off of Wolf in the first sector. That is slightly down on Parachki, I think. So I think Parachki currently up.
I think that's... that pace is for around 5th place.
Yep, so, well, we'll have to wait and see if he can keep it up in the last 2 sectors, of course. But right now, he's not matching Parachki at the moment in Sector 1 as the Czech driver makes his way around the bus stop chicane. What's his middle sector going to look like? He's 2/10 off in the middle sector, in fact. So, yeah, I think he is going to be behind Parachki because overall Parachki is 0.240 behind Wolf at the moment. I think he could split, he can go, I think he'll slot behind Daniel personally, but we'll wait and see. So, as you said, it looks like it will be around about 5th place for the Arrow McLaren SP. As now Marat Patacek making his way onto the pit straight now then, as Patacek is now going to come across the line now then, and let's see where he's going to go then. Down the pit straight goes the BMW powered McLaren. Patacek, across the line he goes. Whoa. And he goes actually into 4th, so he actually found some time in the last sector, and he actually gets himself just behind his teammate Parachki.
Yeah, he had a good last sector there.
Yeah, indeed, and, well, it was a very good last sector there for Patacek, so, yeah, he'll be pretty satisfied with that, although I think he will be slightly disappointed he didn't beat Parachki. Now, here is Gabriel Gomez, who, of course, was looking good to try and get a victory last time out at Yohognam, but thanks to losing 2 front wings during the race, it cost him the victory, and is now putting him on the back foot going into here at Fuji Speedway. He needs a good result here at Fuji if he wants to take the title fight down to the wire at Suzuka next week. Next up will be Zachary Fitzwater on the racetrack, but Gomez really needs a good race here at Fuji if he wants to keep his title hopes alive going into the finale at Suzuka next week. So Gomez now then through turn 3. He will go. Let's see what his first sector looks like, and he's purple in the first sector, 47 thousandths off of Wolf. This is exactly what he needs to do, but we'll see if he can keep it up in the next 2 sectors, of course, as Gomez flicks it through the left-hander now. Then he goes as he'll now make his way towards the flat-out double right-handers, which has got a bump in the middle, of course. Down this little bump now then, as he now flicks a car in, as he'll now approach the bus stop chicane now then, flicks it in through the right, then into the left-hander now then, we will go. Let's see what the middle sector looks like for the Brazilian. Gabriel Gomez at exactly a 10th up on Wolf in the middle sector now then. No such mistake from him, unlike what we saw with Wolf earlier on in the session. So Gomez flicks it through the left-hander now then, as he now approaches the final corner on the racetrack now then in the Andretti, flicks it through the final turn onto the pit straight. Will go the Brazilian driver who is determined to keep his championship hopes alive. Gomez down the pit straight he goes, and the Brazilian driver is now going to cross the line now then, heading his way onto the pit straight, and Gomez across the line. He will go. Will he go to the top? And yes, he does by 3/10 of a second. A 1 minute 17.359. A pretty good lap there for Gomez.
Pretty good lap, but considering the first 2 sectors and Wolf had that mistake in the final one, I have a feeling that that won't be enough for the pole position. But let's see.
Shall wait and see, of course. Next up is Zachary Fitzwater in the first of the two Penske's, of course. Of course, as mentioned, Penske do have a chance of wrapping up the team's title this week as well, along with Julius, of course, having a chance to wrap up the title this week as well. So Fitzwater down the pit straight as he now starts his lap. Next up will be Florian Volker in the second of the two Andretti cars. Of course, Volker had a chance of winning last time out in Yehognam and was looking like he was going to take the victory off of Anderson before going way too deep into the hairpin, and in the end getting stuck behind Thomas Anderson in the end and not finding a way through on the Swedish driver. Fitzwater in towards the first sector, and he's 1/10 down on Gomez in sector 1 as he flicks the car in through that right-hander. I think he actually might be slightly down on Wolf as well, because I think Gomez was only a few hundredths up on Wolf in the first sector. So, yeah, that's that. So Fitzwater actually slightly down on Wolf in sector 1, but we'll see if he's able to try and recuperate that in the last two sectors. The Australian driver now then making his way into the bus stop chicane, flicks it through the right, then into the left-hander now, then he will go, and then into the right. Let's see what the middle sector looks like. He's 2/10 down in that middle sector, so yeah, I think he probably is going to end up behind Wolf here from the way it's going, but we'll wait and see. The Australian flicks it through the left-hander now, then we go, as he'll now make it.
I don't think he's losing to Wolf on the final sector because of the mistake, but let's see.
We shall see, as now Fitzwater now they're making his way onto the pit straight, then he'll blast it down the pit straight with the Honda engine in the back of that Penske now then. So Fitzwater down the pit straight and across the line now then. Will go the Australian. Where's he going to place himself? And he goes into third place. So yeah, so Fitzwater does actually go behind Wolf despite that mistake, and he goes into third place. And not exactly what Penske were looking for there.
Yeah, I don't think that was good at all from Fitzwater. Still 3 cars to go on the track, and all of them have a chance to take the pole position here.
Yep, indeed, as now we look at Florian Volker in the second of the two Andretti cars now then. Be interested to see what he's going to be able to do now then as he flicks it in through the left-hander, of course, as now he will approach the final corner on the racetrack now then. So Volker through the final corner and onto the pit straight now then. We will go as Volker blasts down the pit straight now then in the Andretti, and I did actually work out, of course, that I think Volker is actually out of the title fight. I think there is only realistically, from the mathematics, of course, I think there are only 4 cars left, but I could be wrong on that one. I will need to double check that. In fact, I think he might, no, actually, Volker is still in the title fight. I got that wrong there, because he's actually in 4th place in the championship. Ignore me, I thought that it was somebody else behind. I thought that he was behind Wolf in the championship, but clearly not. But anyway, next up will be Thomas Anderson in the pyramid, another guy who can mathematically still win the title, as Volker finds himself 33 thousandths off of Gomez in sector 1 now then, as Volker makes his way through the left-hander now then. He will go on the racetrack as he will now approach the double right-hander now then. Over the bumps he goes, as we will see now then what his middle sector will look like as he will now approach the bus stop chicane. Of course, Volker wanted to forget what happened at Yehognam, where he basically bottled a chance of a victory when he did take the lead from Anderson, and then went too deep into turn number 3 there and basically handed the win to Julius Anderson, and then just struggled to find a way past Julius's brother at the end of the race. Volker 1/10 down on the Gomez in the middle sector, so he should be in second place. So I think for the meantime it will be an Andretti 1-2 should there be no mistake from the 5-time top class champion, but we shall wait and see. Volker on the pit straight now, then he will go now, then as he blasts down the pit straight, Florian Volker in the Andretti car now, then makes his way onto the pit straight and across the line now then. He will go. Where is he going to place his Andretti? Across the line he goes, and he does go into second place, 2/10 off of teammate Gomez, but at the moment it is an Andretti 1-2. Now there's just the 2 Andersons left, of course, that are left to go on the track. First will be Thomas Anderson. He's the penultimate car to go out. And then it will be his teammate and the man who could win the championship this week, Julius Anderson. But Thomas now then will be the first to do a lap out of those 2. And of course, we know he's been pretty good in qualifying this season, but he's still yet to get a victory this season. In fact, Pyramid themselves are still yet to get a victory in 2022. They've had the pace to do so, but it's never really materialised, really, it's fair to say, at this stage. Maybe they can try and get it in these last couple of races, but we will wait and see. As Thomas Anderson now then goes around the final turn and onto the pit straight now then. He will go as Thomas Anderson is about to start his flying lap now then here in qualifying as he blasts down the pit straight. Thomas Anderson will come across the line now then as he will now start his flying lap here at Fuji Speedway. He's the penultimate car to start a lap, and then last up, of course, as expected, will be Julius Anderson. He'll be the last to go out onto the track. But Thomas, his brother, comes through turn 1 now then. He goes heading his way down towards towards turn 2 as he'll now make his way towards turns 3 and 4 on the racetrack. We'll see what his first sector is like compared to Gabriel Gomez. In towards the first sector now then will go the Swede, and he's 1/10 down on Gomez, and he's also down on Volker, and I think he might also be down on Fitzwater as well. So not exactly the best first sector, so it looks like he might also be down on his teammate Wolf at this stage, which is not really what Anderson was looking for there, as Thomas now then flicks it through the double right-hander now then on the racetrack, as he'll now make his way down towards the bus stop chicane, flicks it in through the right, then into the left-hander now then. We will go, and let's see what the middle sector looks like for Thomas Anderson. He's 4/10 off, not exactly the best middle sector there. So, yeah, I think there could be a chance he might actually slip behind La Rosa here, but we'll wait and see as he flicks it through the left-hander now then, but I think he is definitely going to be behind Zachary Fitzwater here in this session. So not exactly the lap that Thomas Anderson was looking for, as Anderson now blasts down the pit straight now then, and Thomas Anderson is now going to cross the line. Where is the Swede going to end up? Down the pit straight goes Thomas Anderson. He's all now come across the line now then. Anderson across the line. He will go, and he goes into ninth position. Not a very good lap there for Thomas Anderson, and well, not exactly ideal for the Pyramid driver.
Yeah, I don't really understand what happened in the final sector, because I thought he was set for at least 5th.
Yep, indeed, and well, that's he's lost quite a lot of time out of that sector. I did notice that I think he might have had a bit of a flick going around this corner where his brother is right now, but I could be wrong on that. It might be just my eyes deceiving me a little bit there. But anyway, last car to go out is the man who could win the championship this week here at Fuji. It's Julius Anderson. It's going to be him or his nearest rival Gabriel Gomez that's going to get pole position, but which one is it going to be? And that could really make the difference. It will mean I will have to alter the criteria graphic regardless of whichever one gets pole, but which way it will be altered, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's Julius Anderson now, and he comes out of turn 1, makes his way through turn 2 on the racetrack now then, as he now makes his way in towards turns 3 and 4. Let's see what his sector 1 time is going to look like compared to Gabriel Gomez. Into sector 1, and he's 2/10 off. That's not exactly ideal for Julius Anderson now then. That's not exactly what he needs, with Gomez at the top and Volker in second place. And given that he's very horrible first sector there for the championship leader, and wow, this is not looking like the pace he needs if he wants to win the championship, especially as at the moment it looks like Gomez is going to get pole position unless Julius performs some kind of miracle in these last 2 sectors and performs like a Max Verstappen-esque performance in the last sector, which I honestly do not see happening. 5/10 off, this is not good.
7/10.
The Andersons have really not had a very good lap. It looks like
is he gonna even get top 10 here?
He might not even, because if we're judging it from Thomas Anderson's performance and the fact that he's down in 9th, this is not looking like a very good lap for the championship leader. So Julius Anderson now then, making his way onto the pit straight now then, and Julius Anderson, where can he place his Penske now then? Down the pit straight he goes, across the line goes Julius Anderson. Where is he going to go? Anderson across the line, and he's only good enough for 10th. He's only just got into the top 10, but it's not been a good lap for the Andersons. They share row 5, which means as a result, Gabriel Gomez will be on pole position here at Fuji, and it could prove to be a very crucial pole for the Brazilian. It's an Andretti front row lockout as it's Gabriel Gomez on pole, with Florian Volker in 2nd, Adam Wolf in 3rd, with Zachary Fitzwater 4th, Francesca La Rosa in 5th, Anis Perachki 6th, Marat Patacek is in 7th, with Tadej Daniel in 8th, Thomas Anderson in 9th, ahead of his brother Julius Anderson in 10th, Luca Farina is in 11th, with Rosetta Martinez 12th, Frederick Soper 13th, Alex Eric Lucian is in 14th, with Simon Mutka in 15th, Jared Fosbury in 16th, Lorenzo Tomaselli down in 17th, with Luke Mason in 18th, Yuri Gabriel in 19th, Dorian Malevsky in 20th, Yuri Krachicville in 21st, and Gillum Stark all the way down in 22nd and last, under 6/10 behind Krachicville in the end. So we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment while Yuri sorts out the grid for the race, and I think we'll also get Kurisu on board as well to do the commentary alongside me for the race, of course. But in the meantime, guys, just bear with us while Yuri sorts it out. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get the tweet sorted out for Twitter. So apologies if I go silent for a moment, but stick around because the race is coming up in just a little bit.
Hello.
Okay, I am back, and well, you may have just heard a voice when we just switched calls there, but I am now joined by Kurisu in the commentary box. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing okay.
Indeed. And, well, I think you may have seen what happened in qualifying there, Kurisu, but a very crucial...
I didn't
pole for
watch, actually.
Okay, well, Gabriel Gomez has taken pole position with Anderson down in 10th position, and, well, Gomez really needed that pole position given how far back he is in the championship, especially given that he's trying to save his championship chances going into the finale next week.
Well, it's not so huge, but he still has a shot, and if he wins this race, it might be a better shot than we think.
Yep, indeed, and I've already sent the Criterion Champion graphics over to Yuri, and you will get them on your screen right now. In fact, he's just sorting it out right now for you. There it is, so we might as well read them whilst we wait for Yuri to sort out the grid, of course. So, for Julius Anderson to win the championship, this is what he can afford to do. He can afford to lose 4 points to Gomez because, of course, as a result of Gomez getting pole position, it has meant that, as a result, the gap is now 31 points instead of 32 points. And, well, as mentioned, of course, at the top of the show, Anderson does have the advantage when it comes to race victories because Gomez cannot surpass him in race victories. Julius has got 4 victories, whereas Gomez has only got the 1 victory. So it's really been his consistency that has kept him in the championship hunt, really. So Anderson can only afford to lose 4 points to Gomez to win the championship on a countback. He can afford to lose 15 points to his brother Thomas, also on a countback, because Thomas has not achieved a victory this season. He can afford to lose 18 points to Volker. However, if Volker wins the race, then it has to be 17, because Volker can still beat him on a countback in the finale, of course. And finally, he can lose 26 points to Wolf, and given how many points that is, I think it is safe to say that, well, Wolf has really got to hope for a miracle.
Pretty much.
Yeah, indeed, and in actual fact, just going to double check that, in fact, because it said 21st. I do think that as a result, actually, that does actually put, because I will work that out, in fact, I think that does actually put Wolf out of contention, in fact, so I might have accidentally left that part in there by accident. So, yeah, Wolf, thanks to him not getting pole, he is now out of contention, because he had, like with his teammate Thomas Anderson, he also hasn't achieved a victory this season. So, in fact, it is actually just 4 contenders now for the championship. So ignore the bottom one. It is between Julius Anderson, Gabriel Gomez, Thomas Anderson, and Florian Volker. They're the only 4 contenders left who can mathematically still win this championship.
Yep, that's right.
So we'll have to wait and see, of course. Can Anderson win the championship? Well, he's got a bit of a task to do, it's fair to say, because the gap is 10 points. And also, Gomez can't afford to retire in this race, because if he retires in this race, that will be his championship over. It won't mean that the championship will be over just yet, of course, because Anderson has obviously got other contenders around him who could still take points off him and take it to the finale in Suzuka. But for Gomez's championship, he really does have to finish. Otherwise, if he fails to score a point or finish, that's his championship over. So anyway, we are now getting ready then for the start of the race. You'll soon see the grid very, very soon, because the criteria graphic is still on the screen at the moment. There you go. So here is the grid then. We'll go 4x4 as per usual then. So on pole position for only the 2nd time this season, it is Gabriel Gomez with possibly a crucial pole position with teammate Florian Volker alongside him in 2nd place. Adam Wolf will start in 3rd for Pyramid with Zachary Fitzwater in 4th. So as Yuri's just mentioned, that we have to do the grid first and then he'll restart it afterwards, I presume, with the same weather condition, I'm going to presume. But on you go, Kurisu.
Okay, it's Francesco La Rosa in P5, Evenis Parachki P6, Marek Ptacek 7th, and Daniel Darabos 8th.
And it is Thomas Anderson in 9th with his brother Julius in 10th. He's got work to do if he wants to win the championship this week. Luca Farina starts in 11th with Rosetta Martinez, a very impressive 12th in the Meyer Shank racing car.
Yep, that's right. Up next, we have Frederick Sopa in 13th and Alex Eric Lucian in 14th. Then it is Shimon Mutka 15th and Jared Fosbury 16th.
Fernando Tomaselli is down in 17th for Carlin with Luke Mason in 18th. Yuri Gabriel starts in 19th with Dorian Malevsky in 20th. And on the back row of the grid, Kurisu?
Yeah, sure. It is Yuri Kratochvil in 21st and Guillaume Stopp in 22nd.
Yep, indeed. Now, Yuri does have to restart the game, of course, because unfortunately, I think he might have forgot to open a... I think he might have forgot to maybe change the mistake rate, if I were to hazard a guess, because... yeah, we obviously have different mistake rates between qualifying and the race, of course, and I think Yuri forgot to change that one between qualifying between the two sessions there. Possibly just jumped the gun a little bit there when we came to reading the grid. So just bear with you. We will just sort that out and then we'll get going with the penultimate race of the 2022 GP4 World Champ Car Offline Championship, where of course both championships will be decided. Of course, in terms of the teams championship, of course, because thanks to Gomez getting pole position, the gap is now 20 points between both Penske and Andretti, and you've still got Pyramid who have an outside shot at that title. But in terms of that, I will keep you up to date throughout the race to tell you what on earth is going on in the team's title fight. But yeah, I think if it were to stay as it was in the grid, of course, with the two Andrettis on the front row, then the team's title fight will go down to the wire at Suzuka, along with the driver's title fight if it was to stay like this, because Gomez is currently in first and we have Julius Anderson in 10th. If it were to stay like that, then both championships would go down to the wire next week at Suzuka. So
Yep.
I'll wait and see if it stays like that. Of course, I'm not expecting to, but you can still see the criteria on the screen, and as that's pretty much that, really. And well, I think I don't know if that's a bit of a troll question there. Gilliam, stop, but no, you can't, because you're way off the championship leader. But we're eventually on the way, and it is going to be a bright and sunny day for the race, of course, as we're about to get underway here at Fuji Speedway. Ignore the loading screen, it's obviously not relevant to the actual race that we're having here. But here we are then on the grid for the start of the race here at Fuji Speedway. 39 laps of action coming your way. So we have Gomez on the right of your screens. We have Volker on the left. The two Andrettis locking out the front row. Who is going to get the lead into the first corner? Will both championships be decided, or will it go down to the wires? We have 5 lights on. It is lights out, and away we go here at Fuji Speedway. Who's going to get the lead into the first corner to make the way down towards the
Looks like a good start from Volker.
Very good start indeed, but Gomez just holds on for the moment. So Gomez keeps the lead. It's still an Andretti 1-2, and a good start from Fitzwater, who's up into third place. He's got the jump on Wolf, and he's up into the podium places. Now, can everybody keep it clean into that first corner now then, as Wolf is down to 4th. A good start for Julius Anderson, an amazing start for the championship leader from 10th on the grid. He's already up into 6th.
Yeah, he's gained 10 places there. That is quite brilliant. Not 10 places, sorry, 4 places. I got lost for a second, but a great aggressive launch at turn 1. He's up in the 6th place. It's quite good.
Guess you tried to dramatise it a little bit there for Netflix, I guess, Corey. But anyway, as now coming
No, it was because I was thinking about P10, and that's why I said 10 places.
Alright, fair enough. But anyway, we can see the two Andrettis leading the way. It's Gomez in front with Volker in second, but Volker keeping in touch with him at the moment, as I think everybody has got through the first corner safely. No real incidents to report about as they now make their way through into the right-hander. We will go. Everybody has kept it clean in that first part of the race, and let's see if they can keep it up for the remaining 39 laps, as Volker is actually still keeping up with Gomez. But at the moment, if it were to stay like this, both championships would go down to the wire. But of course, we've still got a long way to go in this race. Anything could still happen, as Volker losing a bit of traction there compared to Gomez, and I think Gomez is just going to have enough to stay in front of his teammate. I'm not sure about Fitzwater though. I don't know how far back Wolf is to him in that third place. In fact, he's got a good slipstream on the Penske driver. He's going to go to the inside.
This is an easy move.
Should be an easy move. The BMW power in that Pyramid is going to blast past the Penske into the first corner, and Wolf reclaims third place after losing it at the start, as Anderson there had to go defensive because Patacek was actually trying to attack him, as Soper gets overtaken there by Delebosch Daniel into the first corner. So Daniel, in fact, didn't get the best of starts either. He's outside the points, and he's trying to recoup the places that he lost at the start.
Looks like Gomez is pulling away just a little bit from Volker at the moment, which is good news for him, as Thomas Anderson tried a little move on La Rosa there, but couldn't quite make it work. He's gonna try again into the next section.
Julius Anderson still under pressure from Marat Patacek, meanwhile, as they come around the double right-handers. Thomas Anderson trying to line up a pass on La Rosa into the bus stop chicane, but La Rosa defends the inside and he holds on to the place for the moment. Volker's actually still sticking with Gomez, but not to the point where he's attacking his teammate at this stage. Maybe the pair of them perhaps working together in these early stages. Who knows, really, as they now make their way through the left-hander, as Volker tries to keep up with Gomez, but he's also got Wolf and Fitzwater right behind. You've got Paratsky who's up in 5th, and so far, technically, Julius Anderson finding himself in a McLaren sandwich at this stage, and again Volker not having the traction compared to Gomez, so again Gomez is just going to have enough to stay in front of his teammate down that straight. Wolf is too far back to get a hold of Volker at the moment.
He's losing power, he's slowing down, and he'll be out of this race. I think that's an electrical problem.
Well, either way, it's a mechanical problem. I did notice he was going quite slow down the straight. It wasn't looking like normal speed, but Yuri Gabriel, after only just, nearly 3 laps of this race, he's already out of the race with a mechanical problem. And, we are already down to 21 runners. And meanwhile, unseen by the cameras,
Transmission problem.
Was a gearbox, but unseen by the cameras, Thomas Anderson has passed La Rosa, and he's now up into 8th position. Julius Anderson has still kept in front of Patacek in the meantime.
Of course, yellow flags are up for the first part of the straight, but just as quickly as I mentioned that, they've been removed, so they cleared the car pretty easily. And I just want to say one thing, Kuka Beluda wouldn't have retired from this race, he would have won it. Just kidding.
Definitely. Yeah, well, in fact, I've just noticed there as well, Volker actually keeping the gap the same into Sector 2. It was 0.478 in Sector 1, and it's still 0.478 in Sector 2, so both Andretti's lapping the same sort of pace. I did notice as well, going into the bus stop chicane, that Volker was having to go a little bit defensive because Wolf was all over the back of him. I'm not sure if Wolf is close enough to get him on this occasion, but we'll wait and see. I think, in fact, Volker's got better traction. Of course, he'll use the slipstream to his teammate for help as well, and he's too far back from going to have a go. But meanwhile, Julius... This is not good for Anderson if he wants to win the championship today, because Patacek is on the inside of him now. Then Volker already going defensive again at the expense of Wolf, but Patacek has got the move done, and Anderson loses a place to the other McLaren.
That was quite easy. This long straight leads to that type of moves, and the best way to defend is to be far enough in front when you get out of the last corner. That is key.
Indeed, as they make their way through the long right-hander, and as Yuri has mentioned a few times, please stop mentioning about the robotic audio. There's nothing that he can do about it. So, anyways, they now make their way down towards the double right-hander we go, as Fitzwater's actually losing touch, and again Volker going defensive. He's still feeling the pressure from Adam Wolf, and the top three currently grouped together at this stage of the race. I'll be interested to know what sort of strategy is going to be in play, because last season, of course, Bartrish Kloss actually won with a one-stop strategy. I'm not sure if anybody's going to try and do that today, but I think it looks like, looking at the fuel load, I think everybody is opting to go for the two-stop.
Yeah, so it seems, though. It looks most likely that we'll see a two-stop strategy. Meanwhile, I just wanted to bring up something funny that I saw happen today. In my F1 Manager save, an AI-generated driver showed up, and his name was Thierry Henry.
Nice. It kind of reminds me a little bit with FIFA, really, when they like to generate a few names. But anyway, as Volker now then again going defensive, but I don't know why.
Anderson is losing another place to his brother. He's going down the inside, and he's taking the place into turn 1. Great stuff, and Julius is dropping back at the moment. Is he perhaps a little heavy, or is it just a genuine loss of pace?
I'm going to presume a genuine lack of pace. I think I'm being totally honest. But after a brilliant start to the race where he gained 4 places, it just seems like he's not able to maintain that pace. Although he is trying to fight back on his brother there, but he wasn't able to make the move stick as they come down towards the double right-hander on the racetrack, and it looks like his brother Thomas is actually putting a gap. Again, Volker going defensive into that bus stop chicane in case Wolf tries to go for a move. I don't know why he tries to defend all the time, because Wolf has never been quite close to him, and of course he's got the slipstream to Gomez to try and help him keep in front. But a little bit bizarre really why Volker keeps defending all the time.
He's lost a little bit of time to his teammate. Looks like Gomez will survive for at least another lap. Maybe not just survive, maybe even start to pull away a little bit. It's quite difficult when the others have a bunch of slipstream on you onto the main straight. Volker is going to close in on him with the slipstream now, but it's not going to be enough to take the place, though it does keep him safe in P2.
Yeah, and I was talking about this, of course, early on in the race. Obviously, the two Andretti's working together in a way to try and keep themselves at the front of the field, basically using each other to good effect, and that's what's been able to keep them in the 1-2 at the moment. Fitzwater gaining a little bit now onto Wolf, but not too much, as it looks like Patacek might be closing on his teammate very, very soon. As mentioned, Julius is definitely now starting to drop back from his own brother, and if he's not careful, he might come under the clutches of Francesco La Rosa. Gomez is now the one doing the defending, going into the left-hander there, a little bit surprisingly, and maybe both of them starting to feel the pressure from Adam Wolf here.
This race is going to be damage limitation for Julius. He is going to lose points to Gabriel Gomez unless some sort of miracle happens. He just needs to control that and lose as few points as possible, which is why he needs to hold on to that P8 he's got, because any single point could prove to be crucial come the end of the season. And he is on the back foot in this race right now, so he's got to do the best he can. Meanwhile, Gomez continues to lead the race as we go into the last corner. He's done a good defensive job so far, though strategy could change things, as once again Volker not close enough to attack, but neither is Wolf on the back of Volker there.
Yep, indeed, as now Volker makes his way down the straight now then on the racetrack as the gap is still 4 tenths, but he's not close enough, and already again going defensive to make sure that Wolf doesn't try and do anything into that first corner there as they now make their way into the first corner. Patacek still keeping up with teammate Parachki meanwhile in their fight for 5th position, but Patacek not really at a stage at the moment where he's going to go for the overtake, and I think Thomas Anderson might be starting to close in on them very, very soon, but at the moment everybody keeping calm in these opening 7 laps.
Yep, Wolf is doing a decent job, but just not good enough to catch up to those Andretti's and pass them. Meanwhile, Julius is under a little bit of trouble. His brother is pulling away from him, and looks like P8 might be the best he can do at the moment. And has he made some sort of mistake in towards the fast right-hander? He went a little deep, had a little bit of understeer, but that corner is so fast and so wide that didn't cost him a lot of time.
But it's not going to help him out either. It just seemed like Julius at the moment clearly struggling at this stage of the race now then. And, well, this is at the moment as things stand. If you're only just tuned into this stream, of course, if it were to stay like this at this stage, then both championships will go down to the wire at Suzuka next Monday. So that's that at the moment as the two Andretti's continue to lead the way out in front. Volker still using Gomez's slipstream to keep himself in front of Adam Wolf in this race at the moment as they now make their way down the pit straight now. Then Gomez has actually got a bit more of a gap down the straight than what he had previously to Volker. A lock up there for Kratichville going into the left-hander as he tries his best to put pressure, and I think that's Dorian Milevski in front of him at the moment in the fight between the Manor and the Viper. Of course, coming into this race, of course, the Viper are now the only team left that are yet to score a point in 2022 because obviously Manor scored points last time out at Yehognam, and well, we'll have to wait and see if Viper. Oh, Patacek's got
his engine is blown.
And that's going to be race over, so that's going to hand a place over to Julius Anderson. He's going to gain a place in all of that, but Matt Patacek is going to be out of the race, and it was looking so promising for both McLarens being up in 5th and 6th, but now one of them is going to be out with a mechanical failure.
What a shame. What a shame. As Julius goes through, La Rosa will do the same very shortly. And that's the end of the race for Patacek. Won't be able to do anything more.
Indeed, and well, he's just letting cars through at the moment as La Rosa goes through. There's oh, we've got another yellow flag. Patacek's also out, so both McLarens have had
You mean
issues on the
Parachki?
same lap. Parachki, sorry, but both McLarens have had issues on the same lap.
My goodness me, you cannot script this. Dear God, how did this happen?
That is double disaster for McLaren. It's also an engine issue as well, as you can see on the bottom there for Parachki. So both of their BMW engines have gone bang.
Patacek's issue has lasted longer, but Parachki's was more sudden.
Indeed, and well, that is double disaster for McLaren. They were running up in 5th and 6th in the race, but both of their engines just could not last the distance, and they're both out of the race, and we are down to 19 runners here at Fuji Speedway. It does mean, as a result, that Anderson has gained another place via the whole McLaren double retirement. He's now up in 6th place.
Just like the top-class McLaren seem to have really bad reliability today.
Indeed, although it's safe to say this season the World ChampCar team has not had too many reliability problems, unlike their top-class counterpart, but either way, it just adds more to the frustration that they have had with BMW this season. They'll be hoping things change next season, of course, both in the top class and you could also say in a way World ChampCar, but I would argue as well that they've definitely improved this season at McLaren with BMW. I just think they need to sort some things out, and then they could maybe be challengers in the future, but we'll have to wait and see on that, of course. Things obviously can happen in racing, it usually does. We just saw Kratichville there trying to attack Milevski into that bus stop chicane, but it wasn't able to work out there, and he's still not been able to get by on the Manor driver at this stage of the race now then. But we are now down to 19 runners in this race as a result of both McLarens retiring from the race, and well, it's definitely, if you're Zach Brown right now, that's definitely not a sight you want to see.
Indeed, meanwhile Wolf is getting very close to the back of Volker, out of turn 1, but still not close enough as we go into the 100R left hand. No, sorry, this is not the 100R. It's the next one that is 100R. And he is still not close enough to launch a proper attack. Meanwhile, Gomez appears. He's not able to pull away, but he's not losing time either.
No, and it brings back to the point I mentioned earlier on, the two Andretti's just working together at the moment to try and keep everybody back. Although on this occasion, Volker just seemed to be a little bit too further back on Gomez on that occasion. He had to go defensive into the bus stop chicane to ensure that Adam Wolf didn't try and do anything into that chicane. But Wolf does appear to be a little bit more closer to Volker than what he has previously.
Yeah, indeed. It's quite interesting.
It is interesting indeed as they make their way through into the final couple of the corners on the racetrack. Fitzwater's just got no pace of the top three at the moment, despite the fact that they're quite close together at this stage. Gomez is going to start lap 11 of the race very, very soon. And I think we are getting close to the first round of pit stops here at Fuji Speedway, as Gomez is about to cross the line now then to start lap 11 of the race. And well, he's not pitting and nor is Volker, but as mentioned, we are approaching that point in the race now, because we have just passed we're now on lap 11 of the race, and the top three still sticking the same at this stage at the moment. But yeah, I do think as well, judging from how close they are, in fact, speaking of which, Wolf is coming into the pits. I was just about to bring up the fact that I think if Wolf is not able to get any of them, he'll try and jump them in the pits.
It'll be interesting. Let's see what's gonna happen. He could get the undercut if he's got enough pace and no traffic, but that's the issue. Usually when you pit early, you're gonna have traffic.
Indeed, and they'll be hoping it doesn't avoid. Meanwhile, Wolf tried to have a go at Volker into the chicane there, caught Volker a little bit napping, and Volker had to defend last minute to avoid Wolf potentially trying to pass him into that bus stop chicane. But Wolf is not going to have him this time by, and it looks like Wolf is going to try and use this first round of pit stops to try and see if he can jump not just Volker, but also Volker's teammate Gabriel Gomez, and potentially take the lead of the race and potentially try and get revenge for potentially losing out on a victory at Yehognam 2 weeks ago.
Indeed, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if he can make this undercut work, as he's now gonna veer into the pit lane. Quite a late pit entry and a short pit lane, but it's alright.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, that pit lane entrance did catch out Bruno de Barros last season, which allowed the championship to go down to the wire last season, of course, because de Barros was in prime position to win the title at that point until the pit entrance glitch happened with a back marker there. So if Anderson's in a position where he can win the title, he'll be hoping that doesn't happen to him. A very long stop for Wolf, over 11 seconds, in fact, 11.3 seconds the pit stop for Adam Wolf, as Alex-Eric Lucien comes into the pits for Peugeot. But yeah, just trying to see where Wolf emerges after this. Tomaselli now also into the pits for Carlin, and Wolf is going to come out, I think, in 13th place. I'm not sure if he's got some clear air or not, but he'll be hoping it's enough to try and jump both Andretti's once they make their pit stop.
Yeah, indeed, as Tomaselli is also in the pits, though that's a long stop. I'm not sure it's the best idea, but we will see.
0.2 seconds. I'll be curious to know how much fuel they've taken, given how long that pit stop was. But anyway, the two Andretti's now at the front of the field. Are any of them going to pit this time by, I wonder, as we are approaching the final corner with Zachary Fitzwater here, who's currently lying.
Well, I wish the camera looked at them, as Wolf is in traffic, but he's making moves on that manor, I think it is. And has he got him? No, not quite. He's losing a lot of time, and it looks like his undercut might fail.
Needs to dispose of him pretty quickly, of course, because he's obviously on fresher tyres compared to Miles. Volker is into the pits for Andretti, so Florian Volker for Andretti is now into the pits, and as is Julius Anderson for Penske. So the question is, will Wolf jump Volker, or will that traffic have cost Wolf any chance of jumping the German here, as that's a quicker stop than what Wolf did, a 9.7 second stop from the Andretti mechanic. So let's see where Volker is going to emerge. Is he still going to be ahead of Wolf, or will Wolf do enough to jump him here as he now comes out of the pit lane exit? Where is Adam Wolf?
He's still ahead.
Is still ahead by quite a margin, so Malevsky did cost Wolf, as Wolf is now on the inside of the Manor driver into turn one.
He's got him now.
Dan's got the move done, but it's already too late, as Volker's now got a gap to him.
Yep, not the an interesting gamble, but not the wisest gamble to try to get the jump on those Andretti's.
Yep, indeed, and well, Volker able to stay in front as a result of that. Gomez is not pitting just yet in this race now.
Looks like he's extending.
Is extending. He's also extending the gap to Fitzwater in the meantime. He's brought it up now to 3.8 seconds between himself and the Australian, so it just shows that Fitzwater just doesn't seem to have the pace of what the top three had before this pit stop, as he's going to continue on. Fitzwater is not. He's coming into the pits at the end of this lap for Penske now then, so he'll just veer to the right hand side, which he does, and into the pits comes the Australian now then, and let's see how quick this stop is going to be then for Zachary Fitzwater then.
Yep, indeed.
He's now into his box, a fresh set of tyres and fuel going in. Again, I'm curious to know what the fuel is like. 20 laps, so I think that's what... everybody's leaving it quite late with the second pit stop, actually. So we're looking at some quite late stops towards the end of the race, possibly around about lap 30 to lap 32. As all Fitzwater has to wait for somebody to go by. That was the Peugeot of Simon Mutka that had to go by, and that is not going to please Zachary Fitzwater one bit.
No, definitely not.
Mutka now makes his pit stop for Peugeot now then, and he's going quite shorter than what Fitzwater is. He's only putting 14.9 laps in, so Fitzwater going for quite a long stint this time by, so he'll be pitting quite late on in the race. Martinez also doing the same as what Mutka is doing as he just makes his pit stop now then, as meanwhile Gomez is still not pitting yet in the Andretti, so he's going to stick it out for at least one more lap, I would presume. Fosbury's coming into the pits for Chip Ganassi Racing as Wolf tries his best to catch back up to Volker, but so far has not been able to make any inroads on the German driver at this stage of the race. And well, it'll be interesting to see where Gomez emerges out of all of that with Volker, because Volker has got clean air, and of course Volker did have was obviously right behind Gomez for the pit stop, so I wonder if Volker perhaps might jump Gomez.
Let's see what he can do.
Gomez is actually now pitting at the end of this lap, at the end of lap 15, so Gabriel Gomez will finally be making his first pit stop of the race now, then as he makes his way through into turn 2 and now making his way around the corner. Also coming in is Thomas Anderson in the pyramid, so the top two will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap now then, as I think that Ferrari might be coming in. I'm not sure. I did see a pit indicator, but I'm not sure if that was for La Rosa or not. But anyways, we're right on board with Yuri Kratchitsville now then in the Viper as Fosbury comes in for Chip Ganassi Racing, but he's not close enough to get that Manor in front at the moment. Fosbury making his pit stop now then, and it's a 9.5 second stop for the Chip Ganassi pit crew. Gillum stop into the pits now then for Manor, so a couple of pit stops this lap as we look at Gomez, who of course is coming into the pits at the end of this lap now then, as he just makes his way through the right-hander, and he'll be coming in very, very soon. But the question is, will he still be in front of Volker after he makes his pit stop?
I wonder. I think Volker will gain a little bit with the undercut, but Gomez should have more pace in hand in the second stint to counter that.
We shall see now then, as he's now onto the pit straight. We'll see him veer to the right-hand side of the track, which he will do around about now then. So into the pits comes Gabriel Gomez for Andretti Autosport. Let's see how quick this pit stop is going to be. Let's see what the fuel is like, how much it takes, as he will now put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel now then. And he's got 12 laps, so it is a 2-stop, so he's going quite short. And see, we go, yeah, flag meanwhile, and that's Jared Fosbury. So he's only just made his pit stop, and Fosbury is out with a mechanical failure.
Oh my goodness.
It's a suspension failure that's taken care of Fosbury, so that's his race done and dusted. Meanwhile, where is Gomez in comparison to Florian Volker? As Gomez has finished his pit stop, a load of pit calls on this lap, but where on earth is Volker in all of this? And Gomez has come out in front, so Gomez did do enough in the end to stay in front of his teammate.
Yep. So it looks like he's the favorite for this race win.
Indeed, but he's currently stuck behind the Carlin, who's coming into the pits this lap, and I just hope that he doesn't have a pit glitch in shoe with him there because of Soper coming in. So we'll have to wait to see on that. La Rosa, meanwhile, is coming in for Ferrari, so he'll be making his pit stop very, very soon. Now then, as they now make their way down towards the bus stop chicane now then on the racetrack, as Soper already going defensive into that chicane, and Volker is right behind as well, coming around that bus stop chicane now. Then we go through the left and then into the right-hander now then we will go, as Volker is now actually right behind Gomez as a result of all of this. So Gomez getting really held up here by that Carlin driver as they now make their way towards the left-hander now then on the racetrack. Hopefully nothing happens here, as Gomez is still stuck behind that Carlin driver as they make their way through the final corner now then and onto the pit straight. We will go. Gomez, don't try and do the move here. Don't try and do it, please, Gomez. Whatever you do, just let him go into the pits, Gomez. Gomez, please, let him go in. Oh, thank God there, but he has to lift off, and that might give Volker the invitation to try and go for him into the first corner. La Rosa is in.
Here we go.
Volker's now on the inside. Gomez already going defensive into the first corner, and Gomez holds on. So that was very close there, but Gomez luckily holds on to the lead.
A desperate defense there, but a successful one from Gabriel Gomez. Was compromised on the straight, but he was able to stay in front, thankfully.
Soper had to wait for a load of cars to go by. That was Kratchitsville and the manner there of Milevski that came in there, as Soper rejoins in 10th in front of his former teammate Simon Mutka. So he's currently in the points, is Soper, so he's actually having quite a good race at the moment.
Yep, indeed. Let's see if he can stay there until the end.
Meanwhile, Gomez going defensive because Volker is all over the back of him, so clearly no team orders on Andretti, regardless of the fact, because let's not forget, Volker also is in the title fight as well going into this. He, along with Gomez, want to try and keep their title hopes alive going into the finale at Suzuka next week, as Gomez now then flicks it through. That left-hander now then on the racetrack, heading into the final corner. We will go. Wolf is too far back. He's 2.2 seconds behind these two, but let's see if Volker is going to get a run on his teammate down the pit straight now. They're coming out the final turn, making their way onto the pit straight as Volker got the slipstream on his teammate. Both, of course, teammates, both powered by the same Chevy engine in the back as they come down the straight, and Volker is too far back to challenge. So just like with the previous stint, Volker just can't get the traction on Gomez coming out of that final corner.
Yep, not as close as he was on the previous effort, so he's gonna have to try again next lap.
Indeed, and Wolf is trying to catch back up to these two, of course. The gap was 2.2 seconds between himself and Flowey and Volker as they now make their way through the long sweeping right-hander. 5 tenths now, the gap between the two Andretti cars now. They're just trying to have a look at what this would mean for Volker, because I'm trying to figure out where Julius Anderson is at the moment in the field. Hopefully the timing tower at the bottom tells us as Lorenzo Tomaselli's got a problem! Another mechanical failure in this race!
No.
They're all dropping like flies, and Lorenzo Tomaselli is the latest to retire!
Oh my goodness, this race is starting to become a race of attrition.
It is indeed, in the reliability side, a lot of mechanical problems in this race, and well, Tomaselli adds to that, so he is out of the race, and that makes it 5 retirements, so we're now down to 17 runners here at Fuji Speedway.
Yep.
And I'm just trying
This
to have a look.
race is quite entertaining.
Yeah, indeed, just trying to figure out who's got the fastest lap of the race at the moment, because obviously you do get a bonus point for the fastest lap. It's currently Wolf at the moment at this stage, as Volker too far back to challenge Gomez anyway, just as the yellow flags lifted. But I'm just looking in terms of what that would mean for Volker's championship compared to Anderson, who's currently down in 6th position at the moment. So he'll obviously gain 10 points on him if it were to stay like this. But I can tell you, if it would stay like this, Volker, that would not be enough for him to keep his title hopes alive. If it were to stay like this, Volker would be out of the title fight.
So it seems.
And the same will also go
As
to
in the
Thomas
meantime,
Anderson.
Wolf is sitting in P3 comfortably at the minute. His undercut failed, and he doesn't appear to have the pace to hang with the Andretti this time around.
Oh, definitely not. And like with, well, speaking of pyramids, of course, as Crutchfield gets by and Rosetta Martinez down the pit straight, so he gets up into 14th position. But it's not only Volker that'll be out of it, with Thomas Anderson in 5th and his brother behind him in 6th. At the moment, Thomas Anderson would also be out of the title fight. So if it were to stay like this, it would just be a 2-horse scrap between Julius Anderson and Gabriel Gomez. Speaking of Thomas Anderson, he's all over the back of Zachary Fitzwater here. So it seems after the pit stop, Fitzwater is also losing on some pace here, because he's got Thomas all over the back of him here.
I mean, oh yeah, Thomas. Yeah, sorry, I thought it was Julius for a second. It is Thomas who is going on the attack, and it'll be interesting to see if you can get that overtake then.
They both drive a blue car, so I can understand that. Anyway, as now...
And they both have the same last name after all.
Yep, and both from Sweden, of course. So, yeah, it sometimes gets a bit confusing. But anyway, as Wolf now then comes out of turn 1. Often at times I normally get their first names twisted at times for some reason when I'm talking very, very quickly. But meanwhile, Volker is now actually starting to lose some time now to Gabriel Gomez. It's now nearly a second between the two Andretti drivers, and wasn't able to catch the gap there between himself and Adam Wolf. But I'm pretty sure that Wolf might now actually be under 2 seconds now behind Volker. I could be wrong on that, but I'm just trying to judge from what that graphic briefly said when we were flicking through the top 3 there.
Yep. It looks like Wolf's pace is at the moment not good enough. Gomez is in control of this race despite the close gap that we're seeing here.
Yep, indeed, as Thomas Anderson has still not been able to find a way through on Zachary Fitzwater. So Fitzwater maybe having better traction coming out of that final corner, a bit like what Gomez has with Flowey and Volker at this stage. So maybe something similar going on there between those two as Volker continues now to lose time to Gabriel Gomez. Just going to try and see if it does say the gaps on the bottom screen this time, but no, it doesn't. It just shows us the pit stops there. I'm just trying to see what the gap is like between himself and Adam Wolf. They crossed the line. It was 1.7 and it rudely cut away there, but it is now a second between the two Andretti cars, and I do think it might have actually gone down to 1.6. So Wolf is slowly gaining on him, but not dramatically.
Yep. It looks like he's gonna have to wait a while if he wants to pass him.
potentially ruin the chance of an Andretti 1-2 in this race now. Then as we now make our way through into the left-hander on the racetrack. We've got, including this lap, 19 laps to go here at Fuji Speedway. The laps have gone pretty quickly around here, it's fair to say. I mean, given the lap times that we've been seeing around here, then I don't think it's really too much of a surprise. And you could see maybe the race going by quite quickly here in this race. And before we know it, we might even get to the second round of pit stops pretty soon. But we're not at that stage yet. I think in around about a few more laps we'll see that. Meanwhile, Thomas Anderson again trying to have a go at Zachary Fitzwater into that bus stop chicane, but he's still not been able to find a way through on the Australian. And well, so far he's just been struggling to get him by him on the pit straight. I want to see if he is struggling with traction compared to Fitzwater at this stage now. Then is to make their way through into the penultimate corner on the racetrack, and now around this long swooping right-hander before they approach the final corner here at Fuji Speedway, through the final turn and onto the pit straight. And yeah, it just looks like Fitzwater just has better traction coming out of that final corner than what Thomas Anderson is able to produce, and that is what's keeping Fitzwater in front of the Pyramid driver at the moment.
Yep, indeed.
Indeed, definitely, as now we come towards the left-hander. Now, in the gap, well, it's I think it's roughly around about 1.5 seconds now between Wolf and Volker, because it was, yeah, it looks like, in fact, 1.4 seconds now, in fact, is the gap between Volker and Wolf. So, bringing back the point I mentioned on the previous lap, Wolf is definitely gaining a lot slow. He's definitely gaining, but he's not gaining quite dramatically on Volker. So, Volker can really just keep this up, and he'll still be ahead of him by the time we get to the second round of pit stops.
Yep, so it appears, and looks like Andretti are controlling this race quite nicely.
Yep, indeed, and meanwhile we're looking at Simon Mutke, who's just having a little bit of a understeer for the right turn. In fact, his teammate is also behind him in 12th, so far both Peugeots finding themselves out of the points at this stage of the race now. And then thanks to that mistake, it has brought Lucien now a little bit closer to Simon Mutke at the moment now then, and well, they are definitely losing touch to McLaren in the team's championship. And well, they probably had an opportunity to try and gain onto them, given that both of them suffered from an engine failure on the same lap of the race. But given that both of them are outside the points at the moment, the gap is just going to remain the same. I think it's highly likely that we're going to see McLaren finishing in 5th in the team's championship by the end of it, but you never know, of course. Anything can happen in racing, and it usually does. As we just saw Cratchittsville there trying to have a go at Milevski into the bus stop chicane, but it didn't work out there. Wolf is continuing to gain. The gap is now 1.1 seconds, but yeah, as mentioned, Kurisu, it's not really dramatically that he's gaining him by.
Nope, it looks like Volker's managing this gap he's got quite well. His pace is alright, and I think he should be able to remain second probably until the end of this race.
Yep, indeed, the gap 1.4 seconds now between the two Andrettis of Gomez continuing to stretch his legs out in front. Meanwhile, Cratchittsville on the inside of Milevski into the first corner, but he can't make it stick. Milevski did well to defend the inside, and he's still holding on to 13th. These two have been battling for quite a while in this race, and even after the first round of pit stops, they're still fighting in this race at the moment as they now make their way into the final corner, running on board with Adam Wolf. As meanwhile, Cratchittsville trying to go around the outside of Milevski there into the 100R, but it doesn't work out, and Milevski still holding on to that place for the moment. Cratchittsville still not able to find a way through on the Polish driver here.
Yeah, indeed.
Through the double right-hander we go, over the bump now, then we go, as he's making way into the bus stop chicane. Again, thought about a move into the bus stop, but it didn't work out, although Milevski has locked up going through into there, had a slight collection of oversteer through into there, but luckily for him, he didn't lose the place, but maybe starting to feel the pressure from the Viper driver, perhaps, as meanwhile the gap between Volker and Wolf is just over a second now. It's actually now dipped to under a second. It's now 9/10 between Volker and Wolf, so Wolf is definitely getting closer and closer and closer to the slipstream of the Andretti driver.
Indeed, but I still think Volker is doing a decent job. He shouldn't be under too much pressure, at least for the time being.
Yep, indeed, as they both now approach that bus stop chicane now, they're on the track, heading their way through that left-hander. Gomez controlling the race at the front of the moment, and he needs to, really. He needs to get redemption after losing out on the victory last time out in Yehognam, thanks to losing 2 front wings in that race, and it basically put him on the back foot going into this race. If it were to stay like this, with him leading the race and Anderson in 6th position, of course, neither of them have got the fastest lap at the moment, because Wolf is currently holding on to the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. But if it were to stay like this at the moment, the gap between Gomez and Anderson going into the final race of of the season would be, if I do my maths correctly here, the gap would be, I think 15. I think it's going to be 14 points between the pair of them if it were to stay like this. If it were to stay like this, the gap between Julius Anderson and Gabriel Gomez going into the final race next week will be down to just 14 points. So we will have a title decider in Suzuka, but still, we've still got around 14 and a bit laps to go. Anything could still change.
So Gomez is gonna need to get on that podium next time in Suzuka and hope for a miracle.
Basically, yes, unless something happens to Anderson in this race, which could really blow the championship wide open. A little bit similar to what we saw with Bruno de Barros last season, of course, when it looked like he had
Of course, a repeat of today's current result would also give Gomez a title, I believe.
Perhaps, yes, if it were to be the same as Gomez is coming in at the end of this lap. So obviously
Does
we
he have
knew
a
he was
problem, or was he just fueled light?
He was on a short stint because I did see he was running around about 12 laps worth of fuel. So he's already at the point where he's making his second stop. So Gabriel Gomez is coming into the pit at the end of this lap now. Then he goes to the right. So Volker will take the lead temporarily, but he will have Wolf right behind him as well that he'll need to potentially keep an eye on, not just on the track, but also potentially in the pit stops as well when both of them make their second stop, as Gomez now comes in for his final stop of the race.
Yep, and he comes. Should be an interesting finish.
Push on a fresh set of tyres and fuel, which will take him to the end of the race now then. How quick is the stop for Andretti now then? He puts on a bit of fuel, which gets him to the end of the race. A 7.1 second stop, I think that says, in the end there then. So a pretty quick stop in the end. No, 9.1 in fact. It was a little bit deceiving, the screen. It made it look like a 7, but it's actually a 9.1 there for Gomez. And he's going to be joining sixth behind his nearest rival, Julius Anderson. So that's going to be very, very interesting indeed. La Rosa comes into the pits now then for Scuderia Ferrari now then, as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel, and he'll go to the end of the race. Also a 9.1, so the same pit stop length as what Gomez had a little bit earlier. Mutka now in for Peugeot. He's going to make his pit stop now then, putting on a fresh set of tyres and fuel now then, and obviously going to the end of the race. So a few drivers getting their second pit stops out of the race here on lap 26 of the race. He finishes off his pit stop. Martinez is coming in, and Mutka has to wait as a result of that, so not exactly ideal, as Volker is coming into the pits this lap, and he needs to really, because Wolf is right behind him on the racetrack now then. So Wolf will take the lead of the race, but really the fight is on after Volker comes out of his pits.
Yeah, indeed. He's gonna veer into the pit lane right now. And Wolf, is he slowing down? I don't think so. It should be a good stop from Volker, and let's see where he's going to emerge.
Puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel, which will take him to the end of the race now then, and let's see where he's going to emerge. He should still rejoin behind Gomez as a result, but let's see. It's an 8.5 second stop, a quicker stop than what his teammate managed as he comes down the straight. Gomez trying to catch up to Anderson, but he's not close enough to do so yet at the moment, as they now make their way down the pit straight, and Gomez is still going to be in front of Volker as expected really, and Volker comes out just behind teammate Gomez as they make their way into the first corner there, and well, that's that really, as of course we'll be waiting for Wolf to come in. Frederick Soper comes in for Carlin, as Anderson now, then Thomas that is still stuck behind Zachary Fitzwater's Penske in this race. These two have been fighting for quite a while, and Thomas has just not had a response to the Australian yet.
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed so, as meanwhile Gomez is on the back of Julius Anderson meanwhile. Not sure if Anderson is pitting yet or not. I don't think he is, judging from it. No, he's not, so Gomez should be safe from any pit lane entrance shenanigans, because that would just be a cruel way for him to lose the championship if it were to come like that. But thankfully Julius is not pitting this lap, so Gomez should in theory be able to clear the Penske man pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would imagine.
As they make their way into the final couple of corners on the racetrack, Volker is also right there as well, so he'll be wanting to clear him pretty quickly before Anderson makes his pit stop, of course. As they now make their way onto the straight, Gomez is now right in the slipstream and tucked up behind Julius Anderson. Now, as they come onto the pit straight now, then he's tucked up in his rival's slipstream. He's going to go to the inside line. Gomez should have to move done as they come down towards the first corner on the racetrack. Side by side they go, heading into the first corner, and Gomez easily gets the move done, and he's up into fourth position. And now it'll be Volker's turn to try and overtake Julius Anderson. In fact, Anderson is coming into the pit at the end of this lap, so hopefully Volker doesn't have any issues with the pit lane entrance. Otherwise, that could be a bit of a problem there, because Andretti have got a chance of a 1-2 here, but of course Volker will need to keep an eye on Wolf as well.
Indeed, it'll be He's going to need to be careful here as Fitzwater is under attack. Anderson is trying to go down the inside. He couldn't make it work. He's gonna have to try again later, maybe on the main straight.
Maybe indeed as they make their way through the corner. But meanwhile, Adam Wolf is coming into the pits for Pyramid, and of course Volker is actually behind Julius Anderson at the moment, so he'll be held up for a bit. Hopefully Volker doesn't have any issues with the pit lane entrance with Julius Anderson, because he's coming into the pits at the end of this lap. But Wolf is now in for Pyramid. Let's see how quick this stop is going to be then from the Pyramid mechanics as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel now then. Where is he going to emerge in comparison to Florian Volker now then? Fuel to the end. Hopefully he doesn't get held up, which he doesn't. 7.8 seconds. But where is Volker on the racetrack now then as they come down the straight? And luckily Volker didn't have the issues there as he comes onto the straight. But where is Wolf as they now come down the pit straight? Keep an eye on the right side. There is Wolf, and he's got the job done. So Wolf has jumped Volker in the pits.
That's quite a surprise. Looks like the overcut worked quite well. Now it'll be interesting to see if he can chase after Gomez and steal the win away from him.
Indeed, and he will have fresher tyres compared to Gomez, so maybe if he's got the pace, then the race will be well and truly on, but we'll have to wait to see on that. Meanwhile, Thomas Anderson is coming into the pits this lap. Not sure if Fitzwater is pitting either, although I do remember, I think Fitzwater is actually on quite a long stint, if my memory serves me correct, and I am correct on that. He's not pitting just yet, but Thomas Anderson will, and he'll look to try and get the jump on the Australian, because throughout this stint, he's just been struggling to pass the Penske.
Indeed.
They now make their way through into the right-hander now, then we will go on this racetrack now, and then as they come towards the final couple of corners. Here is Luca Farina now, then he's still to make a pit stop, but he's just locked up there, going into the bus stop chicane there, so clearly showing that his tyres are pretty much on the cliff at the moment, as he now makes his way in towards the right-hander on the racetrack now, then as they now come towards the final couple of corners, we will go. And of course, we will see Fitzwater peel into the pits very soon. In fact, sorry, it's Thomas Anderson, wasn't it? Not Fitzwater. But Thomas Anderson is now into the pits for Pyramid. So Gomez goes through pretty easily. Of course, Gomez will take the lead once Fitzwater makes his final stop of the race. Let's see what Anderson rejoins after this pit stop. A fresh set of tyres and fuel for the Swedish driver. It's an 8.2 second stop from the Pyramid mechanics. There's some more mechanics in the pit lane. There's been, in fact, 3 sets, of mechanics in the pit lane. As now Thomas trundles down pit lane, flicks off the pit limiter, and he's going to rejoin in 6th position. So he rejoins P6, but the question is, will he be able to jump Fitzwater as Lucien comes into the pits for Peugeot? And so I wonder if he's going to be able to jump Fitzwater this time by Caruso.
I don't know, to be honest with you. Looks like the overcut has been a little stronger today.
Meanwhile, Wolf is definitely trying to close in onto Gabriel Gomez as they make their way through into the bus stop chicane. So maybe Wolf does have the pace to try and get a hold of Gomez. So any chance that Gomez has got to win today, it's not over yet. He might have to do a bit of defending here on the Pyramid, and it looks like it is going to be a fight between Gomez and Wolf for the victory here. Gomez looking for his 2nd victory of the season, whereas Wolf is trying to get his and Pyramid's 1st victory of the season as they now come out of the final turn. Wolf not close enough to get Gomez on that occasion. Gomez has just got enough of a gap to stay in front of Wolf on this stage as the Fitzwater starts lap 31, but of course, as mentioned, he's still yet to make his final pit stop in this race. So this is effectively the battle for the lead, and
Wolf is the fastest lap.
Another fastest lap for Wolf because he did hold on to the bonus point, and he's definitely going quicker. 1 minute 17.574 for the Pyramid driver, and he means business at this stage of the race with only, including this lap, 9 laps to go.
He didn't have the pace to overwhelm the Andres for most of the race, but with this interesting strategy, he's definitely got a shot now. He's ahead of one Andretti, and he's fighting hard with the other. Can Gomez hold on and take the victory? It'll be a big benefit to him if he can, but I'm not sure he can.
Especially given that there's a championship at stake here. Malevsky into the pits on Manor. Not sure if Fitzwater is pitting this lap or not. Have to wait and see on that as they come around the bus stop chicane. Goes Wolf and Gomez. Wolf trying to put Gomez under so much pressure now. Then Mason into the pits now for Viper as Farina's also in, I think, as well. I think that says yes. I don't know because the screen was a little bit deceiving there. So anyway, as they now come around the final corner, has Wolf got the run on Gomez to get him down the straight? He's going to try and have a go. Has he got enough momentum to get by on Gabriel Gomez on this occasion? As we come down the pit straight, Wolf is in the slipstream of Gomez. He's getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the Andretti. This is the closest that Wolf has ever got to, as he's now on the inside line, heading down towards the first corner. Fitzwater is into the pits for Penske. Gomez briefly takes the lead. Wolf
That's the lead.
And he's got it done. Adam Wolf takes the lead here in Fuji. Now, could he get his? Is he on his way to get his and Pyramid's first victory of the season?
Let's not rush because the job isn't done. He needs to pull away now before Gomez can launch any serious counterattack.
Indeed, but Wolf is in the lead of the race. There is a little bit of traffic in front as well, which could hinder him a bit. I think that's Gilliam Stop that's in front of him at this stage, and well, he takes the lead. I wonder, because Volker is also on fresher tyres. I think he's on fresher tyres, if I'm not mistaken. No, he's not. I think Gomez is on fresher. I actually can't remember.
No, Gomez is on the oldest tires because he pitted first, remember?
Oh, yes, indeed, of course. So Volker, could he have the chance perhaps to get a hold of Gomez in this race? Clearly, no team orders at Andretti at the moment, but it doesn't really help Gomez because he's now down in second place, and with Anderson in sixth position, instead of it being 14 points in the championship, if it was to stay like this, the gap would actually now be 21 points. So Gomez would need quite a lot going his way in Suzuka if he wants to win the title at the finale. They make their way onto the straight now, then we go, as they're actually trying to come up to some traffic. In fact, we start lap 33.
I have to go for a minute or two.
Okay, as we now see Wolf just trying to come around the first corner there, heading his way down towards the flat-out left-hander. We're running on board with Florian Volker, meanwhile, in the Andretti now, then as they make their way through the quick left-hander and then around the long swooping right-hander. We will go on this racetrack now. Then the gap 9/10, but Wolf is now coming up to that bit of traffic and he needs to try and lap pretty soon now then, which he's going to do now. Then he now puts a lap on. I think that it is Gilliam Stop that he's putting a lap on there at this stage. As Wolf, in fact, no, having trouble trying to lap that bit of traffic. That's not going to help Wolf out at all. Stop is not letting Wolf go, and that could give Gomez the opportunity to get back onto him now. Then as they make their way through the corner, but it looks like Wolf, is he finally going to get by this time? By, and he looks like it. I thought that Gomez was going to follow through there, but clearly Stop making life difficult for the leaders. And well, Gomez, if he had I thought for a brief moment there, he may have had a chance to get Wolf back, but it's not going to be enough. And well, Wolf has just got the gap again, I think, to stay in front of Gomez, as Volker is now having trouble trying to lap Stop, and he's not going to be happy with the Frenchman there. But yeah, the top three there definitely having issues trying to lap Stop on that occasion. And Gomez, well, if he had any chance of trying to get Wolf back on the pit straight, it's gone to tatters now then, as well, Wolf was just able to have enough of a gap to stay in front of Gomez down that pit straight, thanks to Stop briefly getting in the way of Gomez. So
I'm back.
We nearly had a little bit of a moment there where Gomez nearly got Wolf back because of Stop being being a little bit of a roadblock when it came to the traffic, but Gomez himself got held up and it gave Wolf enough of a gap to stay in front of Gomez there. But yeah, it was nearly a moment there where Wolf possibly nearly lost the lead.
That could have been quite something, but thankfully for him, he remains in position.
Yep, indeed, and Volker tried to get close to Gomez as well from all of that, but same story really. Stop was just being a little bit of a nightmare for the top three in this race, and well, the gap pretty much the same across the top three at the moment, although I do think Volker is actually catching up to Gomez, as the gap, because it's now the combined gap, is actually just under a second now between the two Andretti. So maybe, clearly no team orders at Andretti, maybe Volker could actually have a go at his teammate in the closing stages of the race.
It's gonna be interesting if he can or not. Of course, this would hurt his championship prospects.
Would indeed, but Volker will be doing everything he can to try and keep his championship prospects, although it is looking highly likely that he is going to be out of the championship if it were to stay like this. 5 laps to go for Adam Wolf in this race to get his and Pyramid's first victory of the season. Of course, Pyramid's last victory, of course, came last season at Suzuka with Balint Zolga. Of course, he won the finale on the day that Bruno de Barros won the first ever World ChampCar title. And, well, it has been a bit of a while, but Pyramid have been there chasing down victories all season. But they've been having quite a lot of bad luck this season of both Thomas Anderson and Adam Wolf. But it looks like as long as nothing bad happens in these remaining 4 and a bit laps, Wolf is looking good to possibly get his and Pyramid's first victory of 2022 as we go into the final race at Suzuka next week. As they now make
it's slipping away from him a little bit.
well, I'm talking about Wolf's victory here and wasn't all about Gomez. But anyway...
Sorry, I thought you meant Gomez.
I was talking about Wolf. But anyway, as now coming around the final couple of corners...
Yeah, my bad.
We will go now then, as Volker is still gaining onto Gomez, but whether he'll have enough time to get a hold of his teammate before they end the race, we're not sure. And of course, the last time that Volker was trying to get a hold of Gomez, of course, in the previous 2 stints, he always seemed to have trouble with traction coming out of that final corner. Whether he'll have the same story on this occasion on the final few laps of the race, we'll have to wait and see. 4 laps to go for Adam Wolff, as the gap is now 1.5 seconds between himself and Gabriel Gomez here at Fuji Speedway, as he just rounds the first corner on the racetrack now. Then down towards turn 2 he goes, as they're actually coming up to some more traffic, but I think it's a little bit too further in front for Wolff to worry too much at this stage of the race. We're looking at Volker now then. He's just coming around the left-hander, trying his best to gain onto Gomez at this stage. And well, Andretti had a chance of a 1-2, but I think in the end, Kurisu, Pyramid outsmarted them in the end.
Yeah, brilliant work. Wolff hanged back for much of the early part of the race, but then went fully on the attack towards the end, jumped Volker, then did the overtake to get past Gomez. And now Gomez is going to have to settle for second, or might even lose it to his teammate Volker, who's been attacking him ever since lap 1.
Gap is actually 7 tenths between the pair of them, as you can see on the bottom of your screen there. So he is actually under a second behind teammate Gomez. Wolff is actually now coming up to that bit of traffic, as you can see a little bit further in front there, as we continue to ride on board. As we now come out of the final turn now then, it's Volker maybe close enough to go for a move on Gomez. I'm not sure, as they come onto the straight now then, as Wolff will start lap 37 of 39 here at Fuji Speedway, and I'm not sure if Volker is close enough to get Gomez on this occasion. Here is Volker now, and no, he's not. Gomez has got enough of a gap to stay in front of him at the moment, as we have 3 laps to go here at Fuji Speedway, the penultimate race of the 2022 GP4 World ChampCar Offline Championship, as they come around turn 2 on the racetrack now. Then hanging his way into the left-hander. If it was to stay like this, of course, for anybody who has just joined us, if it was to stay like this, as Daniel has a bit of a moment through into the left-hander, if it stays like this, both championships will go down to the wire at Suzuka next week. So that's how it's looking at the moment. Both championships will not be wrapped up today. It looks like it is going to go down to the wire at Suzuka next week. So anyway, we ran them more with Daniel, just made a bit of an error through into that left-hander there, as now they come down the pit straight. Daniel currently in 9th place, as meanwhile we look back now at the 2 Andretti's now in the Volker and Gomez. Volker clearly wants 2nd place off of his teammate by the end of the race, but whether he's got enough pace to do so, we'll have to wait and see, as Volker now then rounds the left-hander. We look at Wolff, who's now coming up to lap that is Luke Mason around the outside now then, although he's having a little bit of difficulty trying to lap it, a little bit similar to what Volker had with stop a little bit earlier on, but it's not going to cost him too much. But what's going on with those 2 Andretti's? It is 6 tenths between the pair of them coming down that straight, and Volker again not close enough. I wonder if he's having similar problems to what he had earlier on with traction. And I've already just pointed out now, because of course we talked about how Fitzwater and Thomas Anderson were battling before the pit stop. So Fitzwater actually was able to stay in front of Thomas Anderson after the pit stop, and he's actually put a bit of a gap to him as a result. So in the end, the chance that Thomas Anderson had to trying to jump Fitzwater, it didn't work out for him in the end.
Nope, it didn't.
And as a result, given that Fitzwater's now got a gap to Thomas Anderson, I think Fitzwater is going to stay in 4th position, which might be crucial 12 points for Penske to try and make it back-to-back teams titles at Suzuka next week. So anyway, as we ride on board with the race leader, Adam Wolff is just coming around the bust-up chicane. He's nearly got a 2-second lead now to Gabriel Gomez, as they now round the chicane for the penultimate time today, as it's now 2.2 seconds now the gap between the top 2. So Wolff continuing to pull away in that car. As Gomez is now coming up to traffic. This might not help him, as Volker is now right behind him. As a result, Gomez is actually going to try and go around the outside.
He's going to go to the outside.
This might not help him. Volker could be there to capitalise, and well, they're both going to go through, but Volker is going to get slipstream here on his teammate down the pit straight. This is Volker's best chance to possibly try and basically ruin Gomez's chances of trying to get a championship at Suzuka and have to give him a big push. Adam Wolff is on the final lap of the race, but Volker is on the inside line of his teammate into the first corner. Has he got the move done?
He's taking
yes,
it.
He has. Volker up into 2nd place, and Gomez, if he wants to win at Suzuka, he's going to need a miracle if he wants to win the title at the last race next week.
What's the gap going to be? Like this? 24 points or something?
Well, at the moment, Anderson is on 8 points, 15 points for Gomez at the moment, so he'll only gain 7 points on him. So at the moment, yes, you are correct, it would be 24 points if he were to stay like this. So Gomez is going to need a miracle in the last race and things to go his way if he wants to win the title next week at Suzuka.
This could have looked like a very comfortable win for him. Unfortunately, though, he's going to lose 10 points, and Adam Wolf will be the one taking the victory here. He may be out of the championship fight, but he doesn't care about that much because he's got just a few more corners to go until he takes a very well-deserved victory. He
Yes,
did a
indeed.
brilliant job with strategy and was able to get ahead of the two Andretti's. And now, as he exits the last corner for the last time, Adam Wolf is gonna win this race, and he's gonna win it quite convincingly in the end. He's done a brilliant job, and Adam Wolf is today's winner here at Fuji. There he
Brilliant.
goes.
Brilliant win for Adam Wolf. He takes his first ever victory at Fuji Speedway and in World ChampCar, and he's going to be ecstatic. Pyramid get their first victory since Suzuka last season. Volker in second, Gomez in third position, and with Anderson down in sixth, both championships will go down to the wire, but Gomez is going to need a lot of luck at the finale at Suzuka. Fourth for Fitzwater, fifth for Thomas Anderson, sixth for Julius, the championship leader. He's not won the championship yet, but given the gap will be 24 points between himself and Gomez going into the finale, he's definitely the favourite to win it next week at Suzuka. That is for sure. Francesco La Rosa crosses the line in 7th position as Luca Farina will cross the line in 8th. Some more points for Chip Ganassi in the end there then for the Italian, as it's going to be P9 for Delebus Daniel in the Ferrari, so only 2 points for him. And Frederick Soper finally getting some good luck. He finally gets the final points place in 10th. He'll be ecstatic with that one. No points for Peugeot because Alex-Eric Lucien will cross the line in 11th ahead of teammate Simon Mutka in 12th. So actually Lucien jumped Mutka in the pits after the end of that because Mutka was ahead of him before the final round of pit stops. Cratchitsville will cross the line in 13th position in the Viper, and oh, that's that really. And yes, I did include that pole point, Dennis. I did include that pole point, so don't worry about that. Malevsky in 14th place. Rosetta Martinez, he's going to cross the line in 15th place there. And that's that then. But in the end, Adam Wolf finally takes the victory here. It's his first victory, I think, if I'm not mistaken, since 2020 when he was in DTM. So he's going to be happy with that one, that is for sure. And Pyramid get their first victory since Suzuka last season. So here is your final results then here at Fuji. Adam Wolf takes the victory with Florian Volker in second. He's now out of the championship with Gabriel Gomez in third, Zachary Fitzwater in fourth, Thomas Anderson out of the title fight in fifth, with Julius Anderson in sixth position. And it is Francesco La Rosa in 7th, with Luca Farina 8th, Delebos Daniel in 9th, and Frederick Soper completing the points in 10th. Alex-Eric Lucien finishes in 11th, and you can do the rest, Coriso.
Szymon Mutka is in 12th, Yuri Kratochvil 13th, Dorian Milewski 14th, Rosetta Martinez 15th, a lap down is Luke Mason 16th, and Guillaume Stopp 17th. And the retirements from this race are Lorenzo Tomaselli, Jared Fosbury, Mark Tacek, Enes Parashki, and Yuri Gabriel.
Yuri Gabriel, indeed. Let's see who got the fastest lap at the race then. I think it's going to be Adam Wolf.
Has to be Wolf.
It is Adam Wolf by 0.3 of a second, at 1 minute 17.526. So along with the 25 points that he gets for victory, he's also going to get the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race then. Well, there you have it then, guys. That has been it from Fuji Speedway here for World ChampCar. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very, very enjoyable race indeed. A very strategic race indeed. And in the end, Pyramid finally get their first victory since Suzuka last season with Balint Zolga. And Wolf is definitely going to be happy about that one. But that has been it then, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, there is no F2 this week, of course. That'll be back next week at Balcarce, where there'll be 3 drivers fighting for the title. That being Wojtek Kulizek, Nicholas Zorbach, and Hento Tsunanome. And 9 teams, yes, 9 teams fighting it out for the F2 teams title. That's a bit of a mouthful there, that is for sure. Of course, we'll have the top class this week as well at Bahrain, the Bahrain Grand Prix, where Franco Lopez will have his first chance to win the title. So do look forward to that. And, well, that's pretty much that. And, yeah, I think even Flo said that himself there, Yuri, that it's going to be hell for his OBS with all them graphics. But, yeah, that's that. Of course, DTM this weekend as well for the finale at Monza. And, of course, the next World ChampCar race will be on next week at Suzuka for the final race of the season, where Julius Anderson and Gabriel Gomez will fight it out for the title, although it's highly likely that Julius will probably win the title. But you never know, of course. Anything could happen in racing, and it usually does. And, of course, the team's title will also be decided there next week as well between Penske and Andretti. I'm not sure if Pyramid are still in it, but I will double check on that. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I'm in JW97. She's been Kurisu. He was Yuri from the qualifying, of course. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.